Shalom, it is I, Johnny Ashkenazi. What has the world come to? You can't kick someone off their land, steal their home, sexually assault their sister, murder their father, and imprison their brothers anymore without brown people having the nerve to be upset about it? What a bunch of Jew-hating anti-Semites. Listen, if you have a problem with me wanting to move out of America because my taxes don't really do anything for me and move to Israel where the American taxpayer will subsidize my life, you're an anti-Semite. Don't you know Jews lived there like 3,000 years ago? So now we can murder as many Palestinian children as we want? And if you have a problem with that, you're an anti-Semite and I'm calling your boss to get you fired. Because you only care that we kill, occupy, oppress, and dehumanize because we're Jewish. Anti-Semite, anti-Semite, anti-Semite. Am Yisrael Chai!
It's the homeless left. With Matt Weinglass. And co-host KIT CABELLO with Hardlens Media. And Jay Scott. Episode 83, Perception Warfare. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Homeless Left. Let's see. How are we looking here? I think we're good. I think we are good. We're rocking and rolling now. We got a great show planned for you guys. I want to make sure all our tech is ready to go here. Running tech on my own again today, but I appreciate you guys. We have a great team behind us always. We're rotating people in and out depending on their schedules, but we're here for you guys every Tuesday and Thursday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. We got a great show for you guys lined up today. We have special co-hosts coming in for today. We got Jay Scott, and we also have KIT CABELLO, Hardlens Media. That should be fun. We love talking to these guys, especially with all the current events going on right now. They always give us really good takes on today's happenings. We'll be getting into the Trump-Gaza situation, what he's been saying lately as far as what we're going to be doing there, saying the quiet part out loud. We have Elon versus South Africa stuff going down. We're going to give you guys a little take on the Super Bowl with Kendrick versus Drake, going into that stuff. Some TULSI Gabbard updates for you. The JFK files, we got a little update on that stuff. It might not be as great news as we all thought it was going to be. So we'll get into that as well. But we're calling today's show Perception Warfare because that is what controls the media narrative and how they're able to come at us with their day-to-day talking points. And most of us fall for this stuff, being told what to think, what to feel, what to be mad at, what to be okay with, and it changes every single day. But there's definitely a controlled op behind that. So that's kind of the theme for today. Just anybody that is joining our show for the first time, if you guys are feeling a little, just kind of at your wit's end about today's society, about how the media's been behaving, how your friends and family and the people in your team, if you were in Team Blue or Team Red or wherever team you come from, where they're just not allowing you to ask questions. They're not allowing you to be critical anymore. And they're telling you to shut up and get in line and be part of the tribe because the other team might win. So don't say anything. You're going to make us look bad. If you're sick of that crap and you want to start putting your critical thinking skills on again and taking off those tribal goggles and start looking at the world in a non-tribal way, then the Homeless Left is the place for you. We're sick of being told to punch down. We want to start punch up at people in power. Stop being so suspicious and the people at the bottom with no power. We're holding people in power accountable. That's what this show is about. So wherever you're feeling homeless from, you're welcome to our channel. You might be homeless from the right, maybe up, maybe from the down, maybe all around, inside out, upside down. It don't matter. We're all homeless together. So that's what the Homeless Left is about. You guys can always show us our support on our locals site that's coming that goes right through our Rumble channel, which again we appreciate Rumble. They haven't pulled the plug on us like they have over at YouTube. So if you guys are watching this right now, this is the Rumble channel at the Homeless Left. We're also on live on Twitter as well, both on Matt Weinglass and on the Homeless Left simultaneously. And we do have a new burner account on YouTube. We're still trying to fight them on YouTube, even though they terminated our channel, the Homeless Left. We're now going as THL Presents on YouTube. So we appreciate the support over there as well. And I mentioned the locals that you can find that through the Rumble channel, or just go right to locals.com/support. We appreciate all of your support. We're going to get into some stuff right now. We like to do a thing called a real fake news update. And today it's going to be a little different because we're going to give you guys a behind the scenes of how real fake news works. As Trump coined the term back in 2015, he called it fake news. We didn't believe it back then, but now we get it. We understand that it's fake, and it's not because it's sloppy. It's because it's designed to be misleading on purpose. So we're going to do a little behind the scenes investigation of that. Give me 1 second. Let me bring this up for you guys. Here we go. This is a real fake news update. Let's go. It's time for a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Something stuck out to us this week that we thought you guys should see a little piece of, and it was a Jimmy Dore segment where he broke down what the purpose of this legacy media outlets like the New York Times is, what their actual purpose is. We understand that they're bought and sold by the elite. We get, like, the Washington Post has been owned by Jeff Bezos. We understand that there's CIA operations going on in these news organizations. But then sometimes we kind of get, it's kind of strange how they all seem to share the same talking points. Well, this is a breakdown that Jimmy was able to find, who really can I think it pinpoint the New York Times, and they really can show you what the technique is behind the misinformation campaign, behind emotionally getting us excited about certain things, whether it's joy for Kamala, hope and change for Obama, or whether it's fear for MAGAs and domestic terrorists for the MAGA supporters, or whatever the narrative is. They tell us what to be afraid of or what to be excited for. So let's watch a little piece of Jimmy's breakdown on this, and then we're going to get to some examples that are happening right now in real time.
As John A. Conrad V says, I opened my New York Times app today. They're trying, but they can't keep up. News that broke just hours ago is already off the homepage. This is crucial. The entire liberal deep state command and control system is broken.
So the reason why we're able to see this now is because of the U.S. aid. What Trump was able to do when he cut everything off, this exposes it. We've already known this. So you guys know, if we've been in this space for a long time. Homeless Left, we're a little new. We've been doing it for about a year and a half. But a lot of the people we work with here, whether it's, KIT CABELLO coming on, he's been doing it 8 years. We have Craig Pasta, been doing it several years doing this. Garland Nixon, so many people do dissidents, been doing this stuff. So we understand this. The great thing about the U.S. aid cuts is that what we're seeing is some people weren't seeing it at all. And now it's pretty freaking obvious because they're not able to do it as well. They're not in line anymore because the doors are shut. They can't walk in to work. This guy, I guess, is John A. Conrad. This is who is telling us that the New York Times, it's kind of the system's a little jaded right now for them to be able to get away with this. Now, of course, I think they're going to get it all back and they're going to be right back to business as usual. But this is the moment, this is the important moment where a lot of us can wake up and see it for the first time, that haven't been paying attention, even though I believe they're actually going to get it back. They're going to get everything back together, however they do it, and it's going to be business as usual. But if enough people wake up, they're not going to be able to be as effective with that technique. So let's hear a little more what he's talking about.
Oh, I said that when we watched the DNC thing. They look like they're not getting transmissions no more.
That's right.
Too many cows and not enough ranchers.
So first, let me explain to you what the liberal deep state command and control system looks like, right? Well, The New York Times' primary function isn't journalism. It's narrative coordination, setting the frame so the entire political media machine knows how to think about an issue before it takes off. Ever notice how overnight everyone starts saying Biden is as sharp as a tack or J.D. Vance is weird? It's not random. There's a system in.
Yeah. So these are exactly what we're talking about. These feelings, they tell you to feel. JD Vance is weird. You guys remember that one? That really happened. And like we in here in Hollywood, we saw people sharing that immediately and pretending like they came up with it themselves. They like people right here, like I'm telling you, like they think they're so smart. They came up with this idea. I was watching JD Vance at the VP debate, or I saw him on a clip on TV or on my feed, on my Facebook feed, and he just looked weird to me. So I'm going to tweet out that he's weird, or I'm going to post on Facebook that he's weird. No, that was told to you. That was told to you, and you thought it was your own idea. That's the game. So they're saying it's not working as well right now because of the USAID shutdown, which is great to see. Again, I'm telling you guys, this is just momentarily for Trump, diehard Trump supporters. I hate to spoil the party or be a Debbie Downer, but they will be reallocating this to some other way. Mark Rubio is in charge of this. He's called himself acting director. He's going to reallocate this. This is going to just be maneuvered into another way, another place where we can, steal people's money and put it in another system. So I don't celebrate right now, other than the fact this is an opportunity. We can see that it's the curtain. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain and the Wizard of Oz. This is the moment we get to see what's going on with all those controls behind the curtain. Let's see a little more.
Place.
Yeah, I say it over and over.
The narrative pipeline. It's how the blob operates. The New York Times, NPR, Washington Post, CNN, and the rest don't just react to news. They function as a distributed, decentralized mission command system for the Democratic Party and the broader blob. Step 1, local bureau chiefs. These guys are stationed across the country watching which stories gain traction and fielding calls from Democratic operatives feeding them narratives, stories that they need to start controlling. Step 2, New York editors, bureau chiefs snip the news and send it to New York, where an editor triages it. Will this explode nationwide? Will it simmer for days, or should we bury it? Step 3, editorial meetings. The most concerning stories get flagged. Here, editors decide on the narrative framing and who's assigned to write it.
I'm going to pause here because, Joe Scarborough one time almost gave this away. He was talking about it he was spinning it. He's saying, we're so angry at all you fake independent media people. He's talking about us. He's talking about all the people you guys watch all in our camp. He's saying, we're so angry at you because you don't have to go through this process. And so he told us about this process. So we've known this existed. I just love that it's being broken down this way, because this is the way it really needs to be talked about. But the way Scarborough tried to present it was that they have this editorial process where it's a fact-checking system where they have to make sure they get everything right. And all you independent media people, you are just so sloppy and just nonchalant about everything. You just throw out whatever you want, and there's no system to what you're doing. And it's very, very dangerous. What we do is control it, and it's very professional. No, he was telling us what John Conrad here is telling us, is that there is a system of putting the propaganda together. So the words are exact. You get the right feelings, the right emotion, and then you start seeing it pop up on every outlet. The same information, right? You could use January 6th as a example, because we knew that there was exactly what they were going to call it. Storming the Capitol. You guys remember that one? It's time to storm the Capitol. So this is what this process is about: is getting the words just right. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's see a little more. And then I'm going to show you what's happening right now. Even though they're saying they can't do it, they're still doing it. Just so you guys know, they're still instinctually doing this on their own. Even if the New York Times is not together right now, they're still doing this. Okay. So this is a great breakdown. Let's hear a little more.
Before they assign a journalist, they make one critical call to the deep state. Why? To give the government a head start on controlling the story. At this point, the deep state doesn't just say, hey, here's what happened. They strategically select sources based on the tone they want. If they need hawkish China rhetoric, they have a China hardliner expert on speed dial. If they want to downplay a Chinese spy cartel, they go to a dovish China expert who will say it's being blown out of proportion. If it's a military scandal, they pick a trustworthy retired general to subtly steer the discussion toward a desired conclusion. This isn't journalism. It's perception warfare.
Perception warfare. Well said. That's it. That's exactly what this is. 100% accurate. They have these guys on speed dial. 100%. Especially these. You guys know what we were talking about. The military guys, the retired military. It's gonna come in and tell you what he knows because he's seen it up front. They're all ready to go. They're all ready to spew propaganda. Never trust these talking heads ever again, because they're all, like they're saying here, like Jimmy's saying, they're all on speed dial. You guys are welcome to go watch the rest of this at Jimmy's, his YouTube or wherever you guys want to watch him at, Rumble. But I want to give you guys an example because we were covering the DNC and they're still doing this, even though USAID is shut down. And a lot of these government officials cannot get into the buildings. Therefore, these New York Times and these outlets like that, they don't have their system in place. So he's right about that part. But they don't necessarily need to be waiting for New York Times to call or waiting for that coordination. They can just do it on their own. And the DNC certainly is. And they had this line ready to go. If you guys, we covered this the other day, but I want to show this again because this is very much exactly what it's about, is telling your base what to feel, what to think. And this is the line about the billionaires. You guys remember this? So let's look at this in a new context, that this line was fed to the new head of the DNC. His name is Ken Martin, total Zionist. And he comes out and he says, how can we basically, this answers the question of how we can justify hating Elon Musk, but being okay with like a George Soros or another billionaire. How are we okay with that? Not to mention a Bill Gates. We're okay with Bill Gates. He's a stand-up guy. He's a philanthropist. But Elon Musk, he's crazy. He's out of control. He was never elected. Well, how do they manage that narrative? Well, they come up with lines like this.
Billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we will take their money, but we're not taking money from those bad billionaires.
Here, thank you, Joe Martin.
We're not taking money from bad billionaires. We're only taking money from good billionaires. So it allows the Democratic Party to continue the facade that they're the good guys, even though we know it's billionaires. They've always controlled both parties, by the way, guys. And you saw Elon sitting out there with Zuckerberg and with Bezos at the inauguration. And it was like the way they spun it was, we got these bad billionaires. And that's funny that Bezos became kind of on the bad side because they were championing him for many years when he had the Washington Post under his arm. There was no problem with that. They had no problem with Jeff Bezos owning the Washington Post until he sat at a Trump inauguration. Now he's bad, but Elon is the ultimate bad for them. But of course, they're funded by billionaires. Both parties are funded by billionaires, but this is the way they spin that. Let's give one more example because this is happening now. We were talking about the TULSI confirmation. We're going to have an update for you guys on that very soon. But this was from yesterday or before the final vote happened. And they are people like Adam Schiff are petrified. So he goes on Rachel Maddow should do his type of spin. And in this case, he doesn't have to wait. They don't have to wait for the email to come in to say, how do we spin this? They've been doing this for so long. They're very good at it and they can do it in their sleep. But even look at Adam Schiff's face when he's talking about TULSI. He's preparing us to think what we need to think once she gets the confirmation. And so he's planting the seeds of doubt. They've been doing it for several years. We'll talk more about TULSI later, but I just want you to see this exchange. This is all scripted stuff, and they don't need to wait for the email. Rachel Maddow and Adam Schiff can just do it together. They might just be sending a text back and forth, just the two of them. They don't really need anyone else involved with this, but their audience, whoever's left, is watching this, and they're buying this garbage.
People should know about her as a nominee as we're heading toward that final vote tomorrow.
Well, first, I think it's important, as with all these nominees, to just level set. Normally, if you're talking about someone who's going to head an agency, let alone in this case, all of the intelligence agencies, you would expect a nominee to have some experience, maybe having worked for an intelligence agency, maybe having led an intelligence agency. or even at a minimum served on a relevant committee like the Intelligence Committee of Congress. Tulsi Gabbard has none of that experience. Zero, nada, zilcho. That would normally, in a normal world, be disqualifying. But she goes far beyond that. She has echoed Kremlin talking points about the origin of the war against Ukraine. She's pushed out Russian propaganda about U.S. biolabs in Ukraine, one of the pretexts that Russia wanted to use for its invasion.
I love how he has to say the thing, which is U.S. biolabs in Ukraine, which we know is a fact. So he has to put it out there. And some people are saying that that's because we know what's coming. And we're going to be talking more about U.S. biolabs when Tulsi's in her position. We can have this discussion more. So maybe they're trying to get out in front of it. Whereas if you go back a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you could never talk about that. That was grounds to be terminated, to be penalized, to be, at least, punished with a demonetization on one of our channels. You couldn't say U.S. biolabs, even though Victoria Nuland was telling us that's what we were afraid, that Putin was going to get his hands on the stuff we're doing in these labs. So again, here we are. Adam Schiff actually has to say the thing biolabs as he's trying to plant seeds in the viewers of Rachel Maddow that Tulsi is not to be trusted. But look at his eyes. Look at his fear. He looks like very, very uncomfortable, as he should, because this guy has been involved in the most corrupt happenings throughout the last 4 years alone in the Biden administration. And he knows he can't just go home and pretend that there aren't going to be consequences. So they're trying to get out ahead of it. Let's hear just a little more of this.
To the point where RT, Russia Today, this propaganda outfit, is praising her to the degree that advisors close to Putin refer to her as our girl.
Our girl. That's such crap. That's such crap. And by the way, guys, RT is not a propagandist outlet. It's funded by Russia, but it is no different. In fact, because we've worked with people, we have very strong connections with RT. We've been on RT before. Biden pulled the plug on the American outlet for RT. The Critical Hour got pulled. A whole series of shows got pulled where we were having honest discussions about American imperialism and Western imperialism and talking about the realities of Ukraine. So the fact he's bringing up RT in this is very irritating, to say the least. And the fact, and you guys have also seen, the Democrats are making such a huge deal over some of their actual propaganda outlets being cut funding now. And it's just like, how does it feel when your outlets get cut? And now you're upset about it. And now Democrat politicians, now they're talking about, oh, journalism is affected. You weren't talking at all about journalism being affected when RT was having their plug pulled by Biden. We were yelling at the top of our lungs. So the fact that he's using RT right now to say, oh, Russia propaganda, our girl, bunch of crap. It's such crap. I don't even know why anybody is even watching Rachel Maddow anymore. Let's see just rest of what they're coming up with here.
An interesting diminutive for someone who might be leading U.S. intelligence agencies. This is someone who met with Bashar al-Assad, came back, had, wonderful things to say about how he wanted to get across the impression that he wouldn't engage in terrible things against his own people, when our own intelligence agencies were saying he has gassed his own people. So hard to imagine someone more disqualified from running those agencies. But Republican opposition to all of these controversial, unqualified, disqualified nominees has collapsed. And maybe collapse is too strong a word because that presupposes there was an infrastructure to stand up to these bad choices to begin with. But nevertheless, they all seem headed for confirmation, which is just terrible for the country.
Just terrible. Just terrible. Okay, so you guys, you understand how it works. You know what to look for. We call this real fake news because we're gonna expose this every time they do it. And I'm telling you, I told you guys up front in this segment that it's not going to stop. They're just having to rearrange it. And as much good as it is, and we do praise the fact that USAID got pooled and a lot of these horrible, disgusting groups that were money laundering but pretending to be aid when they call it U.S. aid. They were pretending that it was aid for the world. It wasn't. It was using taxpayer money to do destruction around the planet. We've covered this on the show, so we're very again. We acknowledge it's a good thing. What we are telling you is not to celebrate too early, because these are going to be repositioned. It's going to go somewhere else. We have to keep an eye on it, and please, you have to hold your elected officials accountable. Even though the Democrats look like the worst pieces of crap imaginable, we still have to hold Trump accountable and the things he's doing or not doing. So this is a moment where we can laugh and say, aha, they don't have their shit together at the New York Times. They don't have their talking points together. They will figure it out. So we'll be ready for them next time. And we know that Trump was right back in 2015 when he called them fake news. He was right the whole time. So that's a real fake news update. Okay, guys, we are going to be right back. Actually, you know what? I think we can move on very quickly here, because we have our next co-host ready to come in here in just a moment. We appreciate all your guys' support on the Homeless Left, and yeah, thanks for being with us. And you guys can always watch the replays, because we always leave our lives up on Rumble. We'll have to take them down on the YouTube channel a lot, because we have to be careful with the censorship there, or the shadow banning and all that stuff. So we want to make sure, we keep cool with them. We're just playing around on YouTube. But Rumble, thank you guys for being with us right here. So let's go ahead and move on with the show. Please welcome back to the show our trusted co-host for today, Jay Scott.
What's going on, Matt?
Hey, not much, Jay. Hey, welcome. Good to have you back. How's everything going for you this last? I guess we had the Super Bowl weekend. We're going to get into some of that. How's everything going in your neck of the woods besides that?
Everything's good, man. Just got back from Jamaica, a few weeks ago. So that was nice to take a quick little vacation and, get out the country for a little bit. So, you gotta make sure you're staying in a good state of mind with everything, going on right now. But yeah, at least we got the good news, with TULSI, squeaking through. So little bit, positive news right there. So trying to look at the bright side right now, man. Try to find where the glass is half full instead of always half empty.
Yeah. Hey, I got to throw this up. Leslie says she wants to go to Jamaica. So that's a good plug. That's
Make
a good
trip.
plug. We might, yeah.
But quick note of advice though, Leslie, go during mango season and try something called naseberry while you're over there too. It's a really, really sweet fruit. Trust me, you're gonna enjoy it. You got to get yourself a Julie mango and some naseberry. That's some local Jamaican fruit. So they'll have it at all the major resorts. So just remember that word, naseberry.
Awesome. Good advice. Yeah. And for others that are thinking of going out there, good plug for that, Jay. So you were talking about the good news that came up. We saw it this morning. I guess the vote was either last night, but it was within the last day here. Let's get right to that before we do the Super Bowl. We have a new lead in we were talking about putting together, and I think this qualifies for it. So because it's still under the 24-hour mark, I think it still qualifies as breaking news. So let's go ahead and announce it after this intro. This is brand new, guys. Here we go. It's our breaking news intro. Here it is. We have some breaking news here on the Homeless Left. It looks as if Tulsi Gabbard is confirmed. The official announcement doesn't look like it's happened, but we do know that the Senate has voted 52 to 46. So this activates her as the confirmation vote. So she's 100% ready to be confirmed. So we'll see when that actual confirmation happens. But I want to look at some of the stuff that's happened because we've seen what happened at the vote. So first, let's just see that this thing actually did happen. So this is the one we got the news, and then I want to get into the Bernie stuff because that is irritating as.
Yep, that's why we're the homeless left. But
that's
yeah,
exactly why we're the homeless left. Let's look at the actual breaking. Let me do the shared screen. I always have it always takes me a extra second here, but we got this. Okay, here it is. This is the actual breaking news here. Let me bring that up. Here it is. Okay, so yes, it says the Senate just voted 52 to 46 to invoke culture and activate Tulsi Gabbard to confirm the vote. This is based on this vote, and so this just happened. I guess it was yesterday. She is 100% confirmed. Any moment we should have a new director of national intelligence. So I guess you guys are wondering what happened with those other 46. I wonder if anybody voted on that 46 that might have had a very strange take that maybe some people are saying doesn't really look that good. And we mentioned Bernie Sanders. Jay, what did you hear about Bernie Sanders? I'm gonna put this up now, but you sent this to me, and it makes me effing livid. Can you tell our viewers what's going on with Bernie in this vote?
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is Bernie voted to confirm Marco Rubio, but he wouldn't vote to confirm Tulsi Gabbard. Now with Tulsi Gabbard, it's like the ultimate ice pick to the back, right? Because Tulsi literally resigned from her position as, vice chairman of the DNC at the time, because she wanted to draw attention to the fact that they were cheating on behalf of Hillary Clinton during the primary. So how are you gonna stab this person in the back? And while Tulsi may not be perfect, like she has done a little bit of flip-flopping on the Zionism issue, sometimes she does sound a little bit a little bit extreme, in my opinion, when it comes to talking about jihadists and Islam. However, she's miles ahead better than anybody else you could ask for Trump to nominate in this position. Like if Jill Stein was president, okay, maybe we could have gotten someone better into that position. But with Trump as president, who are we going to possibly get who could be better than Tulsi Gabbard in this position? And for Bernie to vote to confirm Marco Rubio, yet not give his vote to Tulsi Gabbard, it's absolutely insane. And, shout out to Aaron Mate. He was actually the one who pointed this out, the double standard over here. So kind of stole that a little bit from him. But it's amazing that he would, be so hypocritical.
Yeah, and so this was being pointed out by a lot. Yeah, and it looks like Wall Street Apes has also said, look, Bernie Sanders is just voted no. This is on record. We can see it. He knows we can see it. And he knows the internet doesn't go away. It's forever. And we have this is a clip, and I'm glad if you guys don't know this is literally when Tulsi made a statement by stepping down as vice chair to get behind Bernie, which was the right thing to do. And the fact that he's not eternally grateful for that really does, as Wall Street Ape says, the lack of morals from Bernie is beyond comprehension. I want to play this so people can see that this actually happened. This is the same Tulsi Gabbard. By the way, guys, she's the same Tulsi who stood up to Kamala Harris and got her off that freaking stage. She was the first one out in that 2020 election because Tulsi just was the only one that could look her in the eye and say, you screwed California. You are a horrible person. Everything you've done is to hurt people. And she had no back. She had nothing to say back. And she was out the next day. And Tulsi did that.
Tulsi actually tore her a new one and pointed out her record with black people in California because she was running as the representative of black people in the presidential race. However, she literally argued to keep people in jail for the free labor. When she was attorney general in California, she prosecuted single mothers working multiple jobs over truancy. She kept people in jail for nonviolent crimes, and Tulsi was the one to point that out. So she's great on a lot of issues. And while I may have one or two issues with her, I think maybe she's done a little bit of flip-flopping. Overall, we're not going to get anyone better than her in this position, especially from Trump. So
yeah, well, so people that never saw this, let's see that sincere moral stance she took to step down on behalf of what was right at the time. And at the time, it was the right thing to do. And we, as much as we regret what happened later, we were on the right side of history getting Bernie's back. And she led the way for a lot of people who saw this back then. So this is just a reminder to people. This actually happened.
As a vice chair of the DNC, I'm required to stay neutral in Democratic primaries, but I cannot remain neutral any longer. The stakes are just too high. That's why today I'm endorsing Senator Bernie Sanders to be our next president and commander-in-chief of the United States. We need a commander-in-chief who has foresight, who exercises good judgment, and who understands the need for a robust foreign policy which defends the safety and security of the American people, and who will not waste precious lives and money on interventionist wars of regime change. Such counterproductive wars undermine our national security and economic prosperity. As these elections continue across the country, the American people are faced with a very clear choice. We can elect a president who will lead us into more interventionist wars of regime change, or we can elect a president who will usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. It's with this clear choice in mind that I'm resigning as vice chair of the DNC so that I can strongly support Bernie Sanders as the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. And now I ask you, stand with me and support Bernie Sanders.
And the saddest thing about that is she was going to get confirmed anyway. So it's like you just went on record to stab this person in the back who went out of her way and gave up power and literally got kicked out of the party over this moral stance she took to defend you. So crazy, man.
I'm watching this, Jay, and it's bringing I'm getting emotional. I'm like, it's my eyes are tearing up, and I'm thinking this is like this alternate universe that we almost had, and for some reason it was taken from us for whatever reason. A lot of us think that Bernie intentionally took it from us, but maybe there was a time in 2016 where he was going about it in an honest way, and then he got captured. We don't know. I don't know. It's hard to pin where the psyop started, but regardless of where that psyop started, here's this woman saying, I'm going to step down and get behind what's right. And this could have been the MAHA, or the whatever you call it today, the MAGA MAHA, the alignment of of a versatile group of people that are saying enough of the deep state, enough of the people of the oligarchy. That was the messaging from Bernie. He said we were taking on all these things, and it never happened. And Tulsi sitting there in that blue jacket, representing the blue side at the time, there was still hope that we could do it from that party, the way Trump has, I guess, in a way, a lot better than Bernie ever did or ever could have, or for whatever reason, is she's now in the other side of it. And the fact that you're in, it's insane that when you understand that historical context, that to have Bernie Sanders today do this to her, this is worse than Bizarro World. This is like some like, I don't know, ritualistic, like FU. I don't know what is going on here, but it is hard to watch.
The Democrats are such a polarized party. It's insane. And this is just another example of that. I don't know if you saw, there was a viral clip going around yesterday of a doctor in a hospital who was going off on a patient who had a MAGA hat on, saying that she would not help the patient because he had a MAGA hat on. I saw the story, a few months ago when the hurricane hit North Carolina, and there was a person in FEMA who was ordering people out on the ground to skip over houses that had MAGA signs in front of them. I'm like, what country is this like that we're living in? Like, how can you look at your fellow Americans and just label them as an enemy just because they have a difference in political opinion? And I didn't vote for Trump. I don't support Trump. I criticize Trump on all the things he does wrong, but I'm not going to look at a fellow American and write them off and start calling them racist and all these names just because they have a difference in political opinion than me. This is such a toxic conversation right now that's happening from the left, where they're pretending that anybody who isn't 100% aligned with everything they have, or who won't vote for the people they tell them to vote for, is the enemy. And you have the right to treat them as less than people. Think about it. A doctor is denying a patient the right to be helped and receive medical help because of a political opinion. Like, what are we doing here? Like what is going on, man?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, they're the majority, well, not the majority of the country, but they're the biggest political party right now. So you're telling me that you want to write off the people who have the most support at the moment. Like, you want to write off the biggest chunk of the country. Now, the biggest chunk is actually independents, but there's no single independent that everyone is unified around. But comparing the Republicans and Democrats, the Republicans simply have more support. How can you say that you're not going to interact with or help or deal with anyone who supports the most popular party in the country? Like, this is not how we bridge the gap. This is not how we convince people from that side to come back like to some sanity. All you're going to do is make them double down.
Because it's not about convincing them to come back.
No,
it's about the war, the internal warfare. It's about the attacking your neighbor. That's been the game plan the whole way, from Hillary Clinton calling half the country deplorables to this, you're a domestic terrorist if you showed up to January 6th. Can we go back and look at one of the people that helped implement this illogical thinking back during COVID? I just found this clip. If you guys remember this is Jimmy Kimmel talking about this exact issue, Jay, during COVID, saying, we will not treat you if you're having a heart attack and if an unvaccinated person is having a heart attack and a vaccinated person is having a heart attack, F you, unvaccinated person, you can roll over and die. We're going to treat the vaccinated person. And the whole audience, and this is at the El Capitan on Hollywood Boulevard. This is in 2021. The whole audience cheers. You guys don't believe me? This happened. Here it is.
I hope you had a relaxing Labor Day. It was not a fun Labor Day weekend COVID-wise. The number of new cases is up more than 300% from a year ago. Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Let's just take a second with that. If you guys have seen this before, you're probably just as irritated and furious about this. If you haven't seen this is the first time, you're probably in shock right now. But this happened. Nobody apologized for this. And you heard that audience going crazy at the end as if that was some punchline, an attack on half the country. And I say half the country because what did vaccinated even mean, or unvaccinated even mean? Once you had to do 3, then 4, then 5. If you weren't up to date, you were unvaccinated. So more, like you said, it starts to become a majority of people that were not okay with this. And yet they're still being bullied and smeared and jokes made about them. And nobody apologized to this. This is exactly what you're talking about, Jay. So this was set. This precedent was set long ago. And now that I'm looking at it, that was actually probably 2022. And he was talking about it was the second winter after COVID. So the shit didn't even work the first time. They're like, we have to keep doing the thing that doesn't work and keep shaming people that aren't on board with this ridiculous psycho thing, because it's psychotic to keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different outcome, which we all know. Oh my God, I'm getting so angry. But you told me this about the Dr. J, and I was thinking of Jimmy Kimmel, and I want you guys to see this has been happening for a long, long time, and nobody has to account for it for some reason.
Yep. And what he's writing off as simply horse goo is a Nobel Prize winning medicine for its application in people. Like, not for its application in animals, it's for its application in people. Now, granted, it was for something different than COVID, but medications get repurposed all the time. They create a medication for one thing, then they find out it treats something else, so they repurpose it. But during COVID, you couldn't talk about this because there was a plan that the globalists and the elites all already had set up, and ivermectin would have interfered with those plans. So they just dismissed it as horse paste. And literally to this day, like people, when I bring up the fact that ivermectin probably could have saved, a lot of lives and helped some people, people still call me a conspiracy theorist and ask me, why am I promoting horse medicine and veterinary medicine? So it's like, they do such a good job with propaganda. Like still, even though mainstream media is getting less popular, people, I guess, some people still latch on to the ideas that they want to identify with because it's intellectually lazy. It means you don't have to go out there, do a little bit of research and realize that there were 2 states in India, Uttar Pradesh and like another one, and they were side by side. They both had COVID outbreaks. The state that used ivermectin had nearly 0 deaths, and the state that did not use ivermectin had thousands of deaths. Like these are 2 states side by side. And I remember reading this story, and that was when I lost a significant amount of faith, like in the medical establishment. Before that, I would take most of the things they said, like as gospel. When I saw that play out in real time, that was, across the line for me. And, I'm glad you brought that clip up because, Matt, it actually got worse than that, man. I remember seeing a poll that asked people, would you support taking away children from unvaccinated parents? And among Democrats, it was like 30% of Democrats supported taking away the kids of unvaccinated children. And I'll be honest with you, Matt, you have my respect for sticking it out in California because before the pandemic, I knew that I was going to leave Florida eventually. I wasn't sure where I was going to go, and California was pretty high on my list. And when I saw how things played out during the pandemic, I'm like, you know what? I love Cali. A lot of great things about Cali. Cali people are cool as shit from my experience with them, but I don't think I want to go somewhere where people want to deny me medical service and threaten to take away my children if they disagree, with my political opinions. So yeah, I chose Texas, and it's a good move. I love Austin.
Yeah, that's great. I'm jealous of you in Austin. In fact, there's a whole movement here in Hollywood for the people that are sick of woke Hollywood. They're moving filmmaking and independent filmmaking to Hollywood, and they got some A-listers involved in this move, and they're willing to take massive pay cuts to do it. We're seeing people like Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson.
To go where? To here to Austin?
Absolutely. It's happening right now. We'll talk more about it. Man, it's going down, man. They're saying we're sick of woke Hollywood. We're sick of, and these are people we've known have stood up to stuff here and there. I love a lot of stuff Woody Harrelson's been doing. I know Matthew McConaughey has had some back and forth on some stuff. We always bring him up because he's the guy that literally played the guy that in the movie of Dallas Buyers Club. Matthew McConaughey was taking on Anthony Fauci in that film. There's no character playing Anthony Fauci, but he was taking on the system that Fauci at the time had rigged and was killing people with this horrible, horrible drug called ACT. There's a whole movie about it. Matthew McConaughey wins an Academy Award for it. We wish that he could have connected the dots sooner and gotten out in front and said, hey, wait a minute, I was in the movie. You remember you guys gave me an award for playing this character and Fauci was the bad guy? Why are we listening to this guy? So he didn't do that right away, but I know that since then he has had a little bit of a, maybe I got that wrong. But overall, just getting a lot of stuff wrong is because we're captured, because they play us against each other. There's a lot of people in Hollywood sick of it. But you talk about California, it was a very hard place to be in. I stuck it out. Not many people, not everybody did. There was people that got the hell out. And the people that were here that will still till this day tell you there was no problem, tell you that we did everything right. Those are the people that they're still in the industry. They're still working in the industry here. These are the people that Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey want to get the hell away from because they have no reflection. They will still look at what Jimmy Kimmel does in that clip and say, oh yeah, that was, hey, we were dealing with a lot at the time, or we knew what we knew at the time, and that's all. And they have no critical thinking skills whatsoever. Meanwhile, there were people dying, people like schools getting shut down, children getting screwed up, small businesses gone. People getting all sorts of injuries from a thing they never wanted, and they were duped into taking it.
And
this is so long, and California will never recover from this because they will never admit that they got it wrong.
Yeah. The lockdowns had led to the closure of, I believe I saw a statistic that said 40% of Black owned businesses, like small shops, like across the country, because we shut down the country for so long. And, this would have been happening more, in Democratic states, because the lockdowns went on for so much longer in those states. So it's like, the people who the Democratic Party claims to protect, sometimes they wind up hurting the most. So, it's a real shame, man. It's a real shame. And the lack of reflection, even with all the data that's coming out now, I'm seeing study after study, wait, are we on YouTube right now?
We are. We'll
No,
we'll
never
we'll
mind.
throw it off at the end, but it's okay. We can just we figured out there's a
Yeah.
language maneuver we can do and say the same. So whatever. It's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the COVID shots are safe and effective, but there are
Yes, of course they
studies.
are.
Yeah, the studies. There are some recent studies coming out of Japan and Europe that say maybe there are a couple more unintended consequences than we realize. And I believe one study had even claimed that. Not I believe, I know one study coming out of Japan recently just proved that the more COVID shots you took, the more likely you were to actually catch COVID. And, it didn't ultimately, even though there may have been some short-term protection, it didn't give you long-term protection against severe disease. So, I mean, I don't know, man. But no, they're still safe and effective, though, because YouTube wants us to say that. So, yeah.
Well, let's be clear. The Japan you're just reporting on what
Yeah, I'm
the
just reporting
Japan
what
study
Japan
said.
said.
This
Yeah,
isn't what Jay is saying. This is what Matt is saying. We're
Mhm.
just telling people out there this is
Mhm.
what they're doing in Japan.
That's right.
Probably incorrect. Probably they don't know what they're talking about, but it is happening, and we just
Go
thought
get
you
your
guys should
boosters.
know.
Go
Yeah,
get those boosters, guys. We're on what, number 11 or 12 now, right?
I
I
think
lost
so.
count. Somewhere up there. So
I'm not, it's funny we can say that, but there are people here in Hollywood, man. I'm telling you, they have had like 10 of them. I know them personally, and they're not okay health wise. They're not okay. I'm shocked that some of them are still able to form sentences and get out of bed, but it's there's not many days that they're doing well at one time. I'm telling you, it's really, really scary to see what people will do when they've been hijacked, and the ego to not admit it's insane. I'm going to say one thing about the because we talk about Trump derangement syndrome, we talk about
Mm,
COVIDian mindset.
mhm.
These are
It's
very
mass
similar mindsets.
formation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mass formation psychosis, right? So we
Mhm.
talk about these symptoms of this problem that kind of takes your brain over. And the COVID stuff is the worst. It's actually worse than Trump derangement syndrome, because Trump derangement syndrome, there are people who can reflect on it years later and say, you know what? I was captured. I admit it. I'm not saying everybody will, but there's a handful of people that were able to do that, and I see them now. They're actually doing it now. The people are like, oh my God, I fell for that for so long. I had it. I had Trump derangement syndrome. With
Mhm.
COVID, you could admit you were captured, but if you are in the medical community, and gets back to your original point about the doctors and how we don't trust these doctors anymore, because they should know better now. They should know they made those mistakes, whether it was on purpose or an accident. They got it wrong. And the fact that they're not willing to admit it means it's the worst thing you can do right now, because it's worse than ego. We're talking about you being guilty of hurting people because you were in a position of power. So it's worse than the Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome is just about sharing memes about why you should vote for Hillary or why you should vote for Biden or Harris. But when you're talking about telling people as a medical professional, this thing is safe and effective, and then
Mhm.
you bring harm to them, there
Mm.
is no amount of time that can pass where you're going to vocally say, you know what, we got that wrong. You're going to
Yeah.
double down as if your life depended on it, because it does. Because otherwise, you'd be going to prison. So
Yeah.
that's why we'll never see that from the medical community itself.
I don't want to say never, but one of the scariest parts about that situation is that the it's partly the doctor's fault, but it's not all the doctor's fault, because they're literally putting their careers at risk by taking, by telling the truth here, because a lot of these hospitals that they work for are firing them and reprimanding them if they, deviate from the safe and effective narrative. So, at some point, if you take your Hippocratic oath seriously, then you should be doing you should be trying to keep up with actual data and actual research coming out. And if there are concerns, you should at least be mentioning those concerns to people and be like, and tell people, well, this is what I'm supposed to say. This is what they say the evidence leans towards. But personally, I have seen some other data that may give me a little bit of pause. So maybe I'll give you the information and then you decide what to do with it, but at least present both sides, and don't just keep going on with this narrative that safe and effective. Any questions, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, and it's either this or horse paste. Yep. So hopefully they can get out of that, because I'm empathetic to them to an extent, because they do spend a lot of time in school. They rack up a lot of medical debt to go into their careers. They have families, they have their own lives, and they're going to be in a very tough position by taking this moral stand. And that's why, for people that do have the courage to do it, I give them all the credit in the world. Peter McCullough, Robert Malone, there's so many Pierre Corey. There's a good amount of doctors who have spoken out, but in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about what, like less than 10%, like of the whole field. So I'm hoping with RFK coming in, as Health and Human Services Secretary, yep, which I'm assuming he will get confirmed for, maybe we'll see a little bit of a change, but I'm not even entirely sure how much he's going to be able to do, because there's so many people around him who are directly invested in mRNA. And in my opinion, he has made a little bit of a pivot from talking about the mRNA shots to now talking about only food safety and, environmental stuff. And both of those issues are important. However, if you look at the dramatic increase in excess death rates that we've seen over the past few years and where all the money is going right now, while the food issue is definitely important, I'm very passionate about it, I still think we have to address this mRNA situation. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to do the right thing there. And I know I'll be pressuring him either way. And this is coming from someone who supported RFK. You know me, Matt. That was the way we originally connected. I was the RFK supporter who had to come on and defend his insane Israel stance and talk about why I supported him. So
that's right.
I'm willing to criticize even people who I campaigned for and went hard for. And if everyone gets to that place, I guarantee you we can see real progress. Be willing to criticize 100%. The people you support.
100%. It's a great tactic, and it means you can be consistent and have principles and not be all over the place. But we point out the stuff when someone gets it right, we point it out, even if it's someone we don't like. So it works the other way too. If somebody we don't like gets something right, we should point that out. Somebody we do like gets something wrong, we point that out. That's consistency. That's what's called having principle, which is what we like to do here. So I appreciate you doing that, Jay. And Craig Pasta does the same, and he was also huge RFK Jr. He goes even further. He says, you know what? No matter what RFK Jr. is able to do in there, the next guy's gonna undo it anyway. So I don't know if you thought that far ahead.
We don't know though. We don't know, because you remember you say this all the time, Matt. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if he gets in there and he's able to expose, some of the stuff about vaccines, and just to be clear, I actually have to do this research because I have a daughter on the way right now. And I realized when I was a kid, I took, I think I took like maybe 10, 11 shots or something like that. And now the schedule is up to like 72.
72.
So there are some which I do think people need to get, like polio, MMR. Like I do think it's probably a good idea to get some of those, but I really do want to take a look at the ingredient list and see, well, how many heavy metals, do we have in here? Is there any way I can get any of these shots without the heavy metals? So if he's able to at least push for more transparency and at least point out that there are issues, I do think we have maybe, 5% of doctors, estimate 5% of doctors who were starting to wake up on that issue. If RFK puts it out, maybe we could get that number up to 40, 50% who were starting to see, well, okay, I'm not anti-vaccine, but I'm pro vaccine that doesn't have heavy metals in it. Like maybe we can get more people into that camp.
Yeah.
And if someone else comes in after that and tries to reverse the stuff, by that time there will be broad enough support where you can have like some kind of legal challenges and some kind of organized resistance. Because right now, most of the people who are really resisting are like on the fringe. But I do think once a good amount of them see it, they won't be able to unsee it. So if he can at least do that, I'll take the wins wherever he can get them.
Great. I'm with you, Jay. So I know we have you for, I think, until the half hour mark here. So I want to get into the Super Bowl stuff, man. This is, I just want to have this guy. I knew you were coming on today, and I was thinking, this is something we need to have a discussion about, because we saw the Super Bowl go down. We saw a lot of people say it was boring. The Chief fans, they were very distraught about it. They thought they were going to get that three-peat. We went into this idea that, look, the Chiefs was the team they were propping up. The NFL was propping up. We understood about the Taylor Swift thing and the George Soros connection there, and then the Kelsey, doing Pfizer shot commercials with his mom last year, and so we knew that this is something that I don't know, man. We watched it just to watch it. Again, a lot more people were into it. They wanted more action on that side, but I was watching, the Eagles winning this thing. I thought there was some statement being made there. When I looked afterwards, and so we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about what Kendrick Lamar did in his halftime show, and how it's a statement not just against Drake, his this rivalry we've seen, but also there's maybe this bigger statement going on, and we've seen people respond to that. So let's start with the halftime show, because I think that probably is the biggest thing that came out of this. Granted, we had this anticlimactic game, some would say, but I think that it's really about the Super Bowl halftime show. On first watch, a lot of people said, it's boring. And I understand their adage in the sense that a lot of times people, I will say this too. I will say hip hop has been kind of overdone, and it's really hard to get a good, really fun tune we haven't really had for a long time. So me going in, I was like, but let's put the music part aside and look at the lyrics, and let's look at the messaging. So starting with this, I'm just going to put this up. This is, if you guys didn't know, there was a record broken on Super Bowl Sunday. It wasn't by the Eagles. It wasn't by the Chiefs. It was by Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance, which 133.5 million viewers watched this. So that's something just to start with. From there, I'm going to tell you guys this. There is an assessment coming from the left and from the right. And I want your take on this in a second, Jay. But the left is doing the thing that I think we thought they were going to do, because it's easy to see. I think it's a little easier to see this messaging. Let me put this up on the screen. I'm just going to read some of this, because we're seeing this in a lot of lefty circles. And I agree. I think a lot of this is present, but I also think there's more to this. So here is a pretty good breakdown of the left, the messaging of speaking truth to power and the Black experience and what he did with that. So we're going to start with that. Let me just get it on the screen here. Here we go. So here, I'm going to read some of this. So you can see him, there's some clips of it below, but this is IG Raheem Shabazz says, when Kendrick Lamar declared 40 acres and a mule in this is bigger than music. He wasn't merely making a lyrical statement. He was invoking a profound historical injustice that continues to shape the realities of Black America. The phrase 40 acres and a mule references the unfulfilled promise made to formerly enslaved Black Americans after a civil war, a broken commitment that symbolizes the systematic economic disenfranchisement of Black people in America. His words transcend hip-hop. They speak to the deep wounds of generational oppression and the ongoing fight for reparations, a demand for justice, not charity. By placing this historical struggle within the framework of his music, Kendrick isn't just rapping, he's using his art as a vehicle for truth, resistance, and a call to action. The statement reminds us that reparations aren't just a political debate or an abstract concept. They're a moral imperative, a debt owed, and an essential step towards true justice and equality. Okay, so this part makes sense. I get it. And we can debate reparations and this and that, but there's something there. The part that is interesting to me beyond this, and I've seen this in circles here in Hollywood. I've seen people assume that Trump was the target of this. I've seen people tweet out and do. I can't grab them right now, but I'm going to tell you guys. They think that this was a direct action against Trump and that Trump is squirming and that MAGAs are squirming. That's not actually the case. On the right, they're saying that there was a larger statement. I don't see people push back at this. They say, okay, yes, that's there. But there's something actually larger going on. We're seeing a statement against the captured Hollywood and the entertainment industry and people like Drake, which represent the oligarchy and the control of the kids and the pedophilia. And you saw that in the songs as well. So I'm going to pass it to you, Jay, and say, do you think, this is my question to you, knowing that those two narratives are happening at the same time, and I think the left needs to catch up because they're not fully understanding the larger thing happening. But it seems to me, I've never seen an event like this where two sides, the sides we've been talking about the whole show today, that the two sides are resonating with the same thing in a different way, in a positive way at the same time. I think it's pretty fascinating. What are your thoughts on that assessment?
Yeah, I thought it was, a great performance. I understand that, some of the music he played might not be as widely known, as some of the other past Super Bowl performances. So I know there were some people on Twitter who said it was a terrible performance. And I even heard some conservatives say that They Not Like Us was racist against white people. But people who said that have not actually listened to the lyrics of the song, because the song is talking about pedophiles. The song is talking primarily about pedophilia, and it's saying that Drake is a pedophile. And he's talking about exactly what you mentioned just now, Matt. He's talking about how a lot of these elites and a lot of these people in Hollywood are, the Jeffrey Epstein types. They're rolling with Diddy, this kind of thing. So, like, at the end of the day, if you are looking for a way to get offended and misinterpret what people are saying, you'll be able to twist anything people say and try to pull something offensive out of it. But if you look at the context of the song and what he was talking about, it seems pretty obvious. He's talking about pedophiles are not like us. He's not talking about anything else. And if you look at what happened even in his home state in California, there was a reparations motion that I believe made it all the way up to Governor Newsom's desk, and then Newsom vetoed it. So if you're a believer in reparations, the Democrats just vetoed like your reparations. So how can you as a Democrat say that he's talking about Trump when Democrats have been standing in the way of it? We've had Barack Obama, a black president who had a supermajority. We just came off a presidency of Joe Biden. I don't think Joe Biden mentioned reparations once, like throughout his whole presidency. So why would you assume that he's only talking about Donald Trump pushing this injustice when the Democrats have actually just blocked it? Because it did pass, in California, and Newsom refused to sign it. So, and, one last thing about that, I'm not a Black American. I'm an immigrant. I'm an American, but there's like a specific ethnic group for Black Americans. And I think, it is important people recognize that when people talk about reparations, the primary recipients of it should be like the Black Americans who can trace their lineage back, like to what actually happened here in America and Jim Crow and everything that came after. So, but that's a separate conversation. In terms of like what Kendrick was talking about, you can't say he's only talking about Trump, because Democrats have been in power. They still didn't address it. Obviously, Trump isn't going to give Black people reparations. We know that, but like he's not only talking about Trump. So yeah, no, it's the Democrats, we know they're just way behind. They're just not as far along on this, and I think a lot of the reason is because the right, populist right, have been watching these entertainment productions for a long time, and they've been calling out all the little satanic worshiping pedophilia stuff, and they're always looking for it. And it's there, and like you go, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like we'll watch one of the award shows, and we're like, oh my God, there it is. And there was none of that.
it's right in your face. It's usually like this red, like smoke, and you have the people worshiping, and all this stuff. The symbolism comes up, and all their little secret codes, and all their little hand gestures. We know all the little hand gestures. The left has been completely oblivious to this. They don't even know what's going on. So when they're busy saying stick it to Trump, the right is saying, no, we get all that. We don't really have time to look at that. We're saying we've never seen an event, a performance like this, where there was, it seemed like it was against that type of symbolism. They're very happy on the right. They're seeing that, aside from the ones you mentioned, there's still people going, you and your black.
It's a couple, though. I don't think that's a majority. Yeah.
There's a couple of those, but I'm seeing the people that generally are very sharp when it comes to breaking down these award shows, these entertainment events, Super Bowls, where people are watching. There's celebrities there all over the place. And they're saying this one looked a little different. This one looked like he was, and especially because some of those songs were designed to be songs that nobody actually heard up until that day. And if they were rehearsing them, he had lyrics in there. I'm telling you, Jay, I'm going to play something in a second about, there was a breakdown I saw this morning, and this girl's going to break it down. Some of the symbolism, you can take it or leave it, or take it for a grain of salt. Let's play some of that now. And then I do want to get to the protester too, because that was another thing. The protester with the Palestine flag, that's important too. But let's do a little bit of this because people are responding to this very positive take on some of the unspoken stuff that she's saying, that she is saying that Kendrick Lamar was fully aware he was doing within the lyrics. And you have to just take another look before you write it off. Take another listen and listen to what she has to say here for a little bit.
Eagle rose again like the phoenix, just like I said it would, huh? Shout out to everybody that been hitting me up, thanking me. You're welcome. Remember I told y'all symbolism is the key to life. So I hope y'all won big. Remember, eagles represent freedom, higher vision, and divine power. The eagle has long been a symbol of transcendence, seeing beyond the illusion, breaking free from control. It represents those rising above the system. The chiefs represented leadership, traditional authority, the ruling class, the old way, the ones who have governed and controlled. Eagle also represents spiritual awakening. It defeated the chiefs that established power. This was a war between the old and the new, between those who seek freedom and truth, and those who wish to maintain authority and control. Don't forget the hierarchy. War isn't just won in one single battle, though. The game was just one chapter. War is happening inside of every single person watching. Before I break down that Super Bowl performance, ritual, whatever you want to call it, let's break down the score. 40-22. I told y'all the numbers always tell you a story. Both of these numbers reduced to 4. 4 is the number of the physical world, remember that, as well as order, foundation, and control. The battle is over the foundation of reality itself. Who controls the rules? Who decides how the game is played? I had to go a little bit further. The difference between the scores was very interesting to me. 18 point. Where my numerology people at though? What does that 18 reduce to? 9. The year of 2025 is the year of what? 9. Once again, signaling the end of a cycle. 9 is the last number before reset, closing of an era before something new begins. So in my mind, the war is reaching a critical moment. Which leads me to my next point, because the war played out right on stage. If you had eyes to see, you already knew what was happening. But I see there's a lot of people who do not have eyes that see clearly. So many were confused. So many were saying this was the worst halftime performance ever. That's because you want to be entertained, which it was very entertaining. It's deeper than that. Kendrick came in hot. Revolution is about to be televised. You picked the right time for the wrong guy. I almost threw my damn phone. He told us what's about to happen. This was a coded transmission. A ritual. So he started off with the tic-tac-toe board and Uncle Sam, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Now, tic-tac-toe is a game of entrapment and strategy. Either you win or you get caught in the endless loop. Then Uncle Samuel Jackson steps. That's the system stepping in, controlling the board, making sure the game is always played their way. You heard him between almost every song trying to interrupt and tell him what to do, trying to make sure he didn't sing They Not Like Us. Kendrick starts rapping on an old school car, which represents history. History repeating itself, but the past still running the present. Answers in red, white, and blue emerge from the car. American flag in human form. The controlled masses. Then this man raps, the revolution is about to be televised. This is the moment, the shift. But you gotta ask, is it real or is it manufactured? Then he takes us into Squabble Up. Dancers in red behind him, the ones in white in front of him. That represents polarity, division, conflict, battle between power, which is red, and control, which is white. And boom, here comes Samuel L. Jackson, aka Uncle Sam One. He checks Kendrick once again, just like in real life. Whenever a leader, a voice gets too loud, y'all already know what happens.
Okay, so I'm going to pause there. There's a little more to it, but you're getting the idea that there might be more going on here. I'm not saying I'm literally taking everything she's saying, but it's interesting to see this perspective. What are your thoughts on this, Jay, before I get to the protester part?
Yeah, I think, she could be onto something. A lot of people, remember the Mayan calendar has supposedly predicted like what people were saying was the end of the world. But upon reflection, people are now realizing they probably meant more the end of an age, because the Mayans believed that, there are different ages. And we did actually shift from the age of, I think, Pisces to the age of Aquarius, where we're in right now, which is the age of information. So it is pretty coincidental that the age of information, which is what the age of Aquarius has been supposed to be for thousands of years, according to, the Mayans, is when, not just the Mayans, actually, that's what, Aquarius represents. But it is pretty coincidental that now is when the internet, is blossoming and AI is blossoming, and we can share all this information, in ways we were never able to before. So there are a lot of coincidences there. So, I thought, hearing her break it down, I didn't even catch a lot of that stuff when I was watching the performance, but, I think she could be onto something. And, it's all the more reason why I think, we do need to remain hopeful, because as many problems as there are with the world, we also have more solutions than we've ever had before too. So even though we may have some big problems, we also have more solutions. And, objectively speaking, at least for us in the Western world, this is like undoubtedly the best time to be alive, like in the past in recorded history that we know of. I don't think there's another time we would rather be alive than right now. So got to look at the positive side. But yeah, I got to go back and now rewatch that performance again because her analysis was pretty on point from what I can tell.
And I encourage everybody to do a little more work on this, because a lot of people are saying they didn't understand what he was saying. I admit that I couldn't understand a lot of the lyrics, but you guys need to go back and look. There's people that have posted all the lyrics, and you can look at and break them down. Look at what the stuff he was, and I would suspect that if we couldn't understand the articulation on our TVs, I bet you during rehearsal, the NFL people running the show couldn't understand it either. So he definitely slipped some stuff by on purpose, is my guess. That's kind of my take.
Here's the thing also, I've actually seen a few videos posted to Twitter of people who are recording within the stadium, and the words were clearer in the stadium than they were on TV. So I don't know if that's a coincidence, but from the recordings I saw posted on Twitter, it was a lot easier to understand when you were there, in person. So who knows if that was accidental or not.
Yeah. Well, I got to throw one more story from the halftime show up, because this was important for us. Obviously, as pro-Palestinian activists, we're in the streets. We saw this happen. There was a lot of angles of it. This is one of my favorite ones because it kind of captures the whole thing in about a minute and change here. So check this out, and then we'll talk about it. So quick pause. So he was on. So just to be clear, this is a guy that was in the performance of the halftime show. He's not from the audience. He didn't run on the field. He started on a platform, and he deliberately jumps on the car, whips out the flag, and then jumps on the ground. So he's part of this very large cast of performers. They say there were about 400 of them. So he's one of the hired performers. He's actually getting a paycheck for this, or he might not get it now. But watch what happens next, because he's getting the flag out as much as possible, and he's running fast because he knows they're going to catch him, so he better run. And they literally have to drag him off the stage. And if you guys want to know what happened next, we had this. Basically, he says the performer in the Super Bowl halftime show was banned from NFL events, Stadiums for Life, after improvised protest. So so even this has been official. He's been banned. Now, did he plan this thing out in advance? Yeah, he did. And we actually saw a little bit of an interview. Somebody gave him an interview here, and he's able to say from his own mouth of what he actually did. Here it is.
Felt I didn't have a choice because I was selected to be a part of the halftime show, and when I saw what my position was, it was a great stage, a large stage, and we know as a practicing Muslim, our Prophet Muhammad teaches us if you see a wrongdoing or you're aware of a wrongdoing, you must stop it with your hands. And if you can't stop it with your hands, stop it with your tongue. Speak out against it. And if you can't stop it with your tongue, try to stop it with your heart, meaning pray about it. And we know that's the weakest of faith. So I had an opportunity on a grand scale to bring awareness or speak out against a wrong of our Muslim brothers and sisters, because we know if one part of the body is hurting, all of the body is hurting. This ummah is one body. So I didn't want to face my creator and not with a sign of weak faith when I knew I had an opportunity to show I didn't have weak faith.
So let me ask you, do you have any cultural or family links to either Palestine or Sudan, or was this purely a gesture of humanity and support for those affected by these wars?
Yes, humanitarian. I'm a humanitarian and I'm a Muslim. So we're spiritually connected in Islam, and we're connected with empathy for humanity because we're all human beings, guys.
That is great. What an opportunity, even just on this Al Jazeera interview, to be very clear. I'm connected to humanity. That's why, and that's why everybody in the streets that's been doing the protesting for 15 months, as you know, Jay, we've all been part of this movement, and it is about humanity. I'm glad he was able to put that out there and maybe get a few more people paying attention right now, especially because Trump is the one in the driver's seat, and Trump's the one talking about the land grab and all the money we're going to make and all the oil. And he's saying the quiet part out loud, which is one of the reasons we were like, hey, maybe it's a good thing Trump's in there, because he will literally say the thing that'll get people to notice, and that notice that people like this and people like us, we've been in the streets this whole time. So that's my take on that. You got any thoughts on everything that he's talking about and what happened on Sunday Super Bowl?
Yeah, he hit a key point, and it's like we all need to be connected to our humanity first, because whatever we allow to happen over there, even if you don't care that it's happening to other people, eventually it's going to come back and it's going to be done to our own population too. So, but in general, we have to realize that this would not be happening in either of those countries if it weren't for our tax dollars. So, I'm not Palestinian. I'm not, I don't have any family or, in the Congo or Sudan, but, I speak out about these issues every opportunity, like I get to, because I understand that number one, my tax dollars are funding it. And number two, these are human beings. And for anyone who is outraged that, he would use this position to, stage a protest like this, I just would urge you to just take a look at some of the bombings and some of the pictures that have happened over there in Palestine, and just imagine how you would react and the lengths you would go to try to bring awareness to what's going on if you were directly related to some of those people. Like, unfortunately, what's happening over there is probably creating terrorists like right now, because they want revenge for what's happened to them, or they think the only way to stop it is to physically fight back. All he did was simply a non-violent protest to, show people what's happening and try to draw attention to it. So there are people dying by the tens of thousands over there. It's an intentional starvation. And now they've just announced plans to finish the ethnic cleansing. People are going to be pissed. And this is a non-violent protest. This is literally the best type of protest that we could ask for, because people are going to get more and more energized the more these plans set into motion. So the more solidarity we can show with these people and the more pressure we can place on our leaders to do the right thing and not go down that road, the more pain and suffering we can avoid for everybody. So, I really hope that people are not like upset just because he might have quote unquote spoiled the performance or raised the flag you don't like, because there's a lot of people dying right now, like over there. So it's not just Palestine, not just Sudan. He can't hold up every flag in the world where there's a conflict happening, but there's a lot of terrible things happening in the Congo right now too.
Yeah, no, and so this protest was beautifully placed because it fit the schematic of what Kendrick Lamar was doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if he saw it off the side of his face and gave a little smile to it, because it's like, this is the whole thing. This is the messaging. And you talk about timing, Jay. You talk about timing and the time we live in right now, the time we live in the entertainment industry. And we're back to this feud, because we just want to point that part out before I get one more reply from you on this. But the feud between Kendrick and Drake, this is different than anything we've seen. This isn't a Tupac Biggie. I know some people will say, oh, it's just one of those where they're putting people against each other. No, there's something really significantly different going on here, where one guy somehow got to the Super Bowl stage, somehow was able to plan this entire thing, this call to action for all populists on right and left, because we saw it. We showed you guys earlier. This is happening on all sides. This isn't just a black movement or a Palestine movement. It's a movement for everyone. And they're standing up against, what he's standing up against is the stuff that Drake represents, which is everything negative, everything evil, the pedophilia, literally accusing him of pedophilia in his song, and the people he associates with. And we're at a time when P. Diddy is going down, and these people, this industry is collapsing with so much exposure of so much horrible crimes against children, crimes against humanity. It is insane the time we're living in, where a show like this, that he could get away with something like that. We know we're on the right side when we're championing him, and we know that Drake's going to come back hard. And this is ongoing. We're not done with this battle, but it's very clear which guy is on the right side of history in this feud. And people are paying attention, and they're saying, wait, what is Drake involved with? Wait, I didn't know that. And so we want this stuff to be exposed, and little by little, I think it will. And this is the time to do it.
Yeah, I don't even think Drake's even going to continue on with it anymore. And the reason why is because he's already lost so badly. In fact, it almost feels like a Ja Rule moment. I don't know if his career is going to drop off as quickly as 50 Cent killed Ja Rule's career, but a lot of people are pointing out the fact that this is the only time a diss song has ever won like an actual Grammy and then like been performed on the world's biggest stage. So, and he did file a lawsuit too. And I think by the time, thanks for pointing that out, Kit, in the back channels. But by the time Drake actually filed a lawsuit, that's pretty much admitting defeat, because now you're saying you're not going back and forth, over songs and lyrically anymore. You're just trying to weaponize the law against your opponent, which is crazy because, there's actually a lot of evidence behind what Kendrick is saying, because Drake was even caught sending inappropriate messages to like a 13-year-old girl or something like that. So there is a lot of truth behind what he's saying. And, Drake said about Kendrick, oh, well, he was accused of beating his wife, called him a wife beater and all that, but there's never been any evidence of that. So Drake is insulting him. He's insulting Drake, yet Drake decides he's going to go file a lawsuit. That's admitting defeat, like in my opinion, because now you're not even rapping anymore. Now you're trying to weaponize the law. And I don't think, at least in the hip hop community directly, I don't think Drake is going to be able to get the same kind of respect, that he had before, because he's taking that route. And I'm not saying he can't survive as some kind of like pop star to an extent, but within the hip hop community, I can't see it.
We'll see, because it really depends on his handlers. It depends on if the people that are running everything, if they're going to allow him, if they're going to throw him out the back door or allow him to stay in the game. And you can see, Beyonce, Jay-Z, these are examples. If you're like, why are they still in the front row of all these events after everything that we're seeing on those guys? So it's like the handlers at the top of the top of the top they can make ultimately the call. And if they want to decide Jay-Z or Beyonce, you're good no matter what, then they're good no matter what. If you want to say, hey, Drake, you're on your own, then it's up to Drake if he's going to make it or not. And then I would lean with you, Jay. He's probably not. And it's going to be a Ja Rule situation. But, what a moment.
The fact that they let Kendrick perform this on the Super Bowl stage kind of makes me feel like they could be a little done with Drake right now, because don't forget, Jay-Z was actually the one who organized it, because Rockefeller, Rock Nation is the music label that decides who performs at the Super Bowl. And then obviously it gets approved by the NFL, but it is Rock Nation kind of calling those shots right now. So it does seem like a lot of people in the establishment, are kind of done with Drake at this point. So we'll see. I got to say, for those who haven't listened to Kendrick's music, like, he does actually have a pretty powerful message. And I'd encourage you to, even pull up the lyric video so you can read along to like what he's saying. And you'll see that he does have a lot of, deep meaning in his music. So, definitely one of the best rappers, I've heard. So,
yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll keep tuned on this, but what a time to be alive. What a time to be in this battlefield, with the people. And so appreciate you, Jay, and your commentary today. As always, thoughtful analysis. I love it when you're on with us, Jay. Remind people where to follow you on Twitter and anything else going on.
Yep. Catch me on X at JS Ascension. And for those who don't know, I am also an artist or a rapper myself. I will be dropping an album within the next few months called The Merca Bando. I'm touching on everything from politics to ancient history to love music. It's all going to be on the album. So I'm trying to put out rap with the actual message. So, and trust me, I'm not a mumble rapper. You'll be able to understand every word that I'm saying. So keep a lookout for it, and also might be a new Homeless Left intro, coming up sometime soon. So we're coming out with some more music. So you guys, so stay tuned. Follow me on X. That's where I'll be releasing everything, and I'll be in touch soon. So I'll catch you soon, Matt.
Thanks so much, Jay. Catch you later. All right.
Later.
Jay Scott, everybody. All right, we are rocking and rolling. We got on that Super Bowl kick for a while, but we needed to do that. We certainly needed to do that. It might come up again with our next guest. I'm gonna bring him in a second here. But man, we've got so much content for you guys. We have so much content for you. Oh boy, let's align here and get ready, because I want to give him a proper introduction. Let's see. Here we go. Welcome everyone. Homeless Left. We are back. We haven't left. We're just rocking and rolling right through everything today, guys. So if you're coming in late, welcome. Sit back, relax. We got some more show for you. If you're watching us, if you missed a lot of the stuff, you want to go back, you can always watch us on repeat. We always keep the full lives up on Rumble, so you can always go back and catch an old thing if you want. Of course, the segments we put up throughout the week as well, if you want to just see the segments on their own. Man, that editing is a lot. I'm going to ask our next guest about that, because my God, the editing and the time it takes to upload these segments, it's insane. But we do it for you guys. We do it for you guys because you are the reason we even exist at all. Well, there's another reason we exist, is because the mainstream media doesn't do their effing job. So we have to do it for them. If they did their jobs and behaved like journalists, you wouldn't need to watch us here. We wouldn't need to do any of this work. And I know our next guest knows this full and foremost, because he's been doing this for 8 years now. We're going to talk about an 8-year anniversary that just happened for him. And we're going to talk about exactly why he's been able to keep going in this space and get the momentum he's gotten. He's definitely somebody we look up to here at the Homeless Left. And we love having conversations with him when he comes on. Based out of Chicago, please welcome back to the show, host of Heartlands Media, KIT CABELLO.
Hey. Am I coming in loud and clear?
Oh, yeah, we got you, man. We got you. Very good.
Fantastic. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the show. I mean, my goodness, if you were me talking about Drake, I would have been fighting like tooth and nail just to join that conversation with you and your other guests, man, because I've got a few things to unload there too. And I don't know if you guys covered it or not, but you asked the question, 8 years doing this, how do I do it? What motivates me? It's a difficult thing. Do you want me to start off with that, or do you have another way of doing this conversation? How would you like me to answer this?
Let's just get into that. I think that when I saw you had the 8-year anniversary, I was like, man, this is what a big moment. Like that you've been able to do this for so long. And like
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I don't want to say more than most because I know people that have stuck with you and been with you from the beginning. They understand this. What I'm about to say, they already understand this. But for me, like doing this for a short time, I'm so in awe of you being able to not just hold it together, but champion something so important and grow and get through all the hurdles and get to where you are now. So yes, that would be my startup question to you is what keeps you going? What is the thing that gets you up in the morning and gets you to get out and do some more Hardlands media for the people?
It's a good question. When I reflect back to the 8 years, I remember when people doubted us and laughed at us. And when I say us, it's myself, KIT CABELLO, and my colleague Daniel Lupker, because Hardlands Media was founded by two people. And, we started this as a marathon. That's how Daniel described it. I remember that phone call I got in January of 2017. Kit, we're in a marathon. We haven't trained for it. We're going up against other people who are more fit, who will be more prepared. But if we can make it, and we make it to the end, we could dominate this city and truly become a force of real independent media and create a network the likes of which hasn't been seen in Chicago. Now, the thing is, when you hear something like that, people say, oh, that's crazy. Well, I'm crazy, and I went ahead and went with it because it sounded like one hell of a gamble, one hell of an idea. Why not? Let's just see where this goes. And so there's many things that motivates me when I wake up in the morning. It's the history, the work that we did on the streets was just a cell phone, a Galaxy S7 cell phone. People can laugh at that as much as they want, but that's what we did. Going onto radio, no experience whatsoever, creating a show, going onto CAN TV, having a TV show last for 7 seasons so far, getting on the internet, and then dealing with the jackboot of censorship. It is the hunger. It is the fight. And, yes, it's growing and growing, but there have been roadblocks. There have been, trials and tribulations, a lot of defeats, and a lot of pain. And doing something like this is not for the faint of heart. It's going in, it's expecting not a bouquet of roses, but a whole field of landmines. And if you could survive it and keep on doing it, why are you doing it? It's because of the passion and the dream that you see. And my dream is to create something. Myself and Daniel's dream is to create something here in Chicago, and eventually, hopefully, through enough dedication and work, to where people could see, like, hey, this is a network, this is a platform that's going to change things. And there's always going to be those rough days where it's like, what the hell? What am I doing? And then there are the days where you hear the audience and they say, thank you for making my morning. Thank you for informing us. Thank you for telling us about this group or interviewing this person. I've gotten a few messages where people say, hey, I was inspired to create this small group that does community work or community service or community outreach. And that's great. If it can inspire at least one person to do some good in their neck of the woods, and that in turn can inspire others, okay, job well done. And I think it's more about sharing and spreading a message of trying to build a better future. And I'm not going to promote anything of, oh, we're all going to be friends, oh, political unity. That's a fool's notion. That's not going to happen. But if we can at least agree on some common sense issues in which we can actually build something for the next generation and we don't nuke ourselves to oblivion, then fine. I'm glad that Hardlands Media is playing not the large part, but at least a small part into that. Because when I look at your shows, Matt, and people say, oh, hey, kid, you inspired me to do this, then that's great. Okay, then the Homeless Left, hosted by Matt Weinglass, is going to do its fair share with his audience, and in turn, that might inspire others, and that's fine by me. But it's 8 years of which, starting from nothing, having a lot of black eyes and gut checks, but also our fair share of, holy cow, I've done 800 interviews. I've interviewed presidential candidates. I've interviewed actors, actresses. I've interviewed radio hosts, journalists. and content creators like yourself, man. I've interviewed people like Jimmy Dore, who I could say is a good friend. I've collaborated with RBN and Do Dissidents. I know the great people at INN, and then there's the audience. That's the main heart and backbone. I mean, those are my main sponsors. Hardlens Media, you know, we did this, myself and Daniel, through our own sweat and blood, through our own dedication. And the only way I'm ever going to stop, I'm going to speak for myself on this one. The only way I'm ever going to stop is if I'm 6 feet under. I got to be dead. I'm not stopping for nobody because I put so much time into this because I love it, which is why I am an advocate for free speech, which is why I despise cancel culture and censorship. Now, if there's somebody I don't like, well, guess what? I have the free choice of not saying, oh, I don't like you. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to watch your content.
Yeah,
I could go on with the rest of my day living my life, but I'll be damned if I see somebody get censored or suppressed. I'll be damned if I see somebody who put their hard work into it, because I've nearly lost it all. I myself and Daniel have nearly lost it all because of the system, because of stupidity, because of arrogance, and I am not going to stand here and be blind to what is potentially coming down the road. I see that jackboot of censorship, and I'm against it. And Hardlens Media, we have won a lot of battles. That it has taken a toll on me mentally and physically. So, you know, to anyone who wants to do what you and I are doing, there's a great benefit and the joy. Yes, there is the joy. I'm going to steal that from Kamala Harris. The joy of doing stuff like this, because this is fun. I love it. And then there's the pain, and you got to suck up all that pain inside you. You got to suck all that pain inside you and hit the grind. You got to hit the work, because if you love something, you invest into it. If you want to fight for it, then you got to fight for it. And every day when I wake up, I'm doing this show for my audience, my people, to inform them so that they're better, and also so that I can get better, because every day I do the show, I improve myself a little bit. I'm never perfect. I would dispel that notion of perfection. If I did a good job, I know it because of the feedback from the audience, from the people who in turn also inform me. I never knew about citizen ballot initiatives. I never knew that. Roger Meadows informed me about that. I didn't know about a lot of these activist groups and organizations that are doing some real good work, not glorified parades, but actually real good work. And where did I learn from? My audience. Hey, Kit, check this out. Hey, Kit, there's this story happening here. And I try and read all the emails. I'm only one man. Me and Daniel are doing a lot, you know, and it's just, it's a lot of work. But when I get that from the audience and the continued subscribers and continued views, that's great. And I love it. And when my people say, hey, I'm not being notified, it's like, crap. I wish I could have my whole army be notified. And I love it. That's why we diversified. I just want to share on your show right now. We got to 201 followers on Kick. We're going to take over that platform.
Oh, very nice.
201. It's good. Look, these are good numbers. They're incredible numbers. They're so huge. And when we get to 1 million, everyone's heads are going to be spinning for days. But this is the passion. And it's the ups and downs. And I hope this answers your question. Like, why do I do it? I do it for the people. Yes, I do a little bit for myself, but I also do it for the bigger vision. And that is Hardlens Media, 99 perspectives, and what its legacy could be for future generations to be better, for more people to speak out, to connect, and build a better future. Because one day I'm not going to be around. One day I will go. But if I could leave a long-lasting legacy and impact for people to build something that I won't enjoy, but perhaps it is something of which I can envision of a better future, well, then I did a job well done, and I could go ahead and F right off into the sunset, as I should.
Kit, that was so heartfelt what you said. And I have to tell our viewers, if they don't know, you know, we came out and saw you in Chicago during the DNC, and we sat with you. You
in
you
Chinatown.
And
Yeah.
we had a fun little round table on a joint show. We did a little communal show. You and Daniel sitting together with me and Craig Pasta. It was awesome.
It was great.
Go out, you know, it was just seeing you got the two of your camaraderie together. It's unbelievable. And I can, when you were telling the story just now about you and Daniel, like I can visualize that moment when you said we're going to do this. Let's do this thing.
But it was a rough road. And, you know, I think what I want to do is definitely give a huge shout out to Daniel, because a lot of people don't realize, like, he's he works like takes care of a lot of the administrative stuff and stuff at the end of for Hardlands Media, and he's doing a lot of stuff for 99 Perspectives. So it is a lot of work that him and I have done.
Right.
And maybe someday we'll write a book. Don't worry, we're not going to be like Cenk Uygur and make you guys wait for like 5-10 years for that book to ever come out. But like someday there'll be a book. I haven't hit pen to paper just yet. So when it happens, be like, hey, look, guys, I'm writing the book, whatever. But it is a story of triumph and tragedy, victories and defeats, and it was really wonderful to actually meet you guys again. I've met Craig before; he's flown out to Chicago before, but it was wonderful to meet you and your partner
Leslie
here in
was-
Chicago. Yeah, it was great, and it was wonderful hanging out at the DNC convention, meeting at Chinatown. It was a great experience, and I loved every minute of it. I want you to come back to Chicago. Get fly back here soon.
Yes, absolutely. And being in the streets with the protesters and just having the voice from the people, which is what you're talking about. You're talking about this need to be honest and truthful and communicate to the people because there's nobody else doing it. And I think you might, I'm assuming you might share my sentiment that if in some alternate universe where the mainstream media was doing this job, would we really be excited about this? Probably not. I think the excitement comes from the fact that there's a need for this, and it's not being fulfilled, and people need to have this, and it needs to come from an organic, real place that isn't based on keeping people in line and propaganda and protecting the powerful and beating up on people. Like if that wasn't a thing in a different dimension, then we wouldn't really have to do this. I don't think. I mean, unless you would just do it anyways because you love it so much. But was that your initial reason? The reason I started was I was like, I can't stand this anymore. These people are ruining people's minds. They're capturing people that otherwise would be very smart people and be able to have critical thinking skills. These aren't dumb people that they've captured. They're people who are smart, who just were victims of this thing. And I said, I can't stand it anymore here in Hollywood. Like I have to do something about it. And I saw that you guys were doing it. And that was exactly why I said, this can be done. So let's do it. But would you be doing something else if they were doing their job?
I was always interested in media as a kid. I remember the era of the shock jocks. Look, pretty soon I'm going to be 40 years old. So the great shock jock era, like people like Mancow Muller or Opie and Anthony or Howard Stern. Okay, so for the younger generations, like these were like the Twitch or Kick streamers, who do all the degenerate stuff or whatever, who have all their followings. And I always remember like saying, "Oh, I love to do something like that. I love to do something like that." But if in an alternate dimension, if things were different, I mean, what kind of world would that be? Because then if the media is doing its job, holding power accountable, that means the force of state is also holding the politicians accountable. That means there's no money in politics. And it's almost as if a world with accountability exists, as though the timeline is perfect. And I don't know again, if things were different, if there was a better world, what would it be like? What would we be doing? It is a question of what would I be doing? I hope I'm doing something that I love. I hope that such a world, maybe in a different timeline, does exist. I like to think that there's alternate dimension theory, that perhaps there is that better world. But as much as I would like to dream of that world, I think it's our job right now to make it come into reality. And that's what we have to do in this timeline. So in this timeline, we are in the imperfect world, and I think we need to build that perfect world. So that's what I would love. And that's why I'm so happy we got to the 8-year anniversary of Hardlands Media. And so I loved every minute, doing that live stream. And we've done happy birthday now, or at least our YouTube channel is 8 years old, because if you know Hardlands Media, people are going to wonder like, okay, well, wait, from the beginning, people are going to say, if someone asks happy birthday, Hardlands Media, when's your birthday again? And Daniel and I will probably say, well, which one? Because our YouTube channel is 8 years old.
Okay.
But Hardlands official, everything together. It's actually April 1st, the same day RBN has its birthday too. So April 1st is the official for all things Hardlands Media combined. That is our official birthday.
So for now, we'll just throw up the YouTube channel at the end of this one, and there we go. Happy birthday.
Yeah, to the main YouTube channel. So there we go. And it's a labor of love
Yes.
And I know that right now things are tough for a lot of us in independent media. There's a lot of people who are being censored, deplatformed, demonetized, and terminated. And hey, jokers for you. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Wendy Carvalho says Japanese whiskey keeps KIT going. I actually have an unopened bottle of the good stuff from the mainland Japan, and I am opening that for a big victory. So I am going to save that and savor it every little drop. So that's when that happens, party time. But Japanese whiskey, Japan is very close to my heart, and I hope to go back there very soon, at least by the end of this year. Hopefully by the end of this year, because if not, I'm going to be very angry. Very angry indeed. So there you go. That's the goal. Going back to Japan.
Absolutely. So I just one more question before we get on to the current. We're going to talk a little Gaza and Trump. But
there's some breaking news that's happening too as well. But go ahead.
We should get in. Okay, we'll get into that segment. I just want to ask you one more question regarding we're at this milestone for you, KIT. And this is I'm assuming you're obviously going to keep going and keep doing this and keep building the movement. My question is more of a personal one. Coming from where we are, we're still short of 2 years of doing this on. I guess Rumble would be our home base because we've had all the we've had all the YouTube issues and up
unfortunately,
and down.
I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good. We started a burner channel. It's working out okay so far. I mean, it's
good.
They haven't given us any strikes, so we're doing that. But this is Rumble's our home base, and we're not nearly as far along as you are. But there's something I'm finding to be the case, and I wanted to ask you what you think of this. Being years ahead where we are, the fact that the people in our personal life here in Hollywood, that they see what we're doing and they see us picking up the momentum, and they know that a lot of them I've worked with for years. Like I've worked in the entertainment industry for years, and they know I'm doing this, and I know they know that I'm still connected to the industry, and we're still doing projects, we're still producing stuff here. I'm still working with a lot of them, but they will be on their social media. They'll be being those people that are captured. They're the people they have the Trump derangement syndrome. They're COVIDians. They have all these different ailments, otherwise good people, but just are ready to attack, assault. And a lot of them still, they look at someone like me doing this and they say, Matt is lost. Matt has become a Trumper. They have all these names, anti-science, all these, we've heard all the names. My question to you, KIT, is you people close to you that saw that when they were seeing you build and grow and maybe just checking out what you did for a moment or two, or do they ever have a point of going, you know what, KIT really is in this for the right reasons. He really is doing something important. Or did they never get to that place and you have to accept that? I guess that's my question to you on the long run.
I've lost a couple of friends who were not on board with what I'm doing, or just leave, or just unfriend me, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But I've also had fights with friends and get apologies back in return. I think I shared this story with you. This was in 2016. I was warning a lot of people, like, hey, there's a 50-50 chance Trump could pull this off and beat Hillary Clinton. And I remember I had one friend private message me an article on the Hill about the rise of the KKK. And they wrote underneath it, in this article, it's people like you that's helping promote this growth. And I'm like, how dare you? You're going to put my name and associate me. I literally I texted this person, like, how dare you associate me with this hate group when I'm trying to warn people that, hey, the Democrats are running a terrible campaign and Hillary Clinton will lose. She will lose. And Trump will win, but there's no way of me endorsing or even supporting anything like this or this nature. And then, we didn't speak to each other for a couple of months until they called me. All right. And they said, hey, I'm really sorry. You were right about the Democrats. You were right about all of this. Can we get lunch? I want to apologize to you. And I said, sure. And boom, friendship solved. I have a couple people who know what I do, and they're just like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. It makes you happy. And in turn, it's always a mixed bag. If someone believes in you and understands who you are, they'll look past the politics. And it saddens my heart that there's people on social media who go on TikTok who say, well, I'm not going to talk to my family because they voted for Trump or they did this. And look, conservatives do that too. All right. There are conservative snowflakes too. And I would say to people, like, look, life is short. Life is precious. You never know when your friendly neighborhood Grim Reaper comes along and takes away your loved one or your friend, and you want your last word to be, "Oh, I don't want to hang out with you because of how you voted." Well, okay, fine. Bear with it. I would give anything to see my grandma or my Uncle Bernie or my grandpa again. I would love to see them again. I miss them, and it's and the thing is, I think it's just really sad that people would go that extra mile and ruin holidays or get-togethers because of politics. You can't let it rule your life. I can't let politics rule my life. And I have to accept the fact that there are family members and friends of mine who may not agree with my post-duopoly policy of breaking away from both parties, but they're people I love. And love has to overcome hate, okay? It has to. And you go ahead.
But they understand that you've broken away from two parties. They understand.
They understand. It's
so
like
I have people in this. I have people who don't actually understand that. You tell it to them, and they're hearing like a translation in their Trump derangement mind. They're hearing you say, "I voted for Trump," or they're hearing you say, "I." And you say, "I'm out of the two-party system," and they're saying, "No, you're the reason why this thing is happening. You're the problem." And I'm telling you, but you just criticize the Democratic Party. So because you criticize the Democratic Party, that means you're with blah, 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 blah.
No.
I
don't think I've had that much. I mean, I've had like by small doses of people just saying, "Oh, well, you're your secret Trump supporter." It's like, no. But with most of my family, I think it's just been fair enough to say all is hunky dory. And frankly, I think I'm lucky about that. And if I'm lucky with that, one less problem, one less headache, because I got enough headaches as it is. And you know what? The less headaches I get, the less pain I get, the better off. Because what I see coming down the road for us, it doesn't look too pretty. And I hope I'm overthinking it, because I want to be optimistic about this new era that we are in, potentially, a growth for independent media, for free speech. And that's why I like platforms like Rumble or Kick that are doing some great things. And yes, I hold out the audacity for hope for YouTube to fix its reckless ways. But, I hope in one hand, crap in the other, and see which one fills up faster. So I am hesitant to be too hopeful, but I want to hold out and think that things can get better. But I do see just something coming down the road, because we're hearing about all these files that are being released recently. Now there's talk of a second gunman that just right now. And I know we're live on YouTube, so I want to be careful, but potentially for JFK. And
we have a breaking news on this.
Exactly. Let me go ahead and share with you the link, because I found it myself. And I think that it's important. So let me go ahead and give you this link from Case Study QB. I'll send it to you a private chat. And this is this is actually breaking news right here. So let me go ahead and click copy and paste it. And I'll be talking more about it on tomorrow's show.
Okay, let's go ahead and grab this. All right.
Yeah. And you'll see it.
There it is. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So let's play the actual clip here. I'll go full screen here. So this just broke. FBI says it has discovered new files on JFK assassination and asking if the CIA will allow Trump to reveal them. Okay, let's hear it.
Evan, this is obviously happening after President Trump ordered the release of these documents tied to the assassinations of JFK, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. He, in his first term, tried to unseal some of these documents, but ultimately was talked out of it by the CIA.
Yeah.
Are we actually going to see these documents this time, or could they get blocked again?
My prediction is that he's going to run into the same issue because there are still some national security secrets that are in these documents and this is why this is going to be like the forever Netflix show, right? We'll have this mystery out there. Listen to Kash Patel, who says he took a look at these documents during the first administration. Listen to what he says about them.
I never believed that the CIA killed Kennedy.
No. You're talking to a guy that's read the entire JFK file.
You've seen all the secret stuff?
I've seen all of that, and I've seen the 7 pages of the 9/11 report. I've seen it all.
And what he goes on to say here is that the documents that are being withheld don't answer the questions that we all have, or that certainly are fueling the conspiracy theories. And by the way, those are still alive today.
Okay, just your
Wow.
quick thought on that right here. I mean, I see them smirking. They're trying to find an angle on this and still
Yep.
using the term conspiracy theorist. What are your thoughts off the top?
Well, the thing is, I want to know what happened to one of our pharaohs, one of our kings. Okay, say what you will about JFK. I mean, yes, the man had his own fair share of problems, but his assassination shook the foundations of this country. And I will have to wonder what the world would be like if he was allowed to continue on to live. What would the world be like if Martin Luther King or RFK Sr. were allowed to continue on with their lives? And the thing is, if our institutions, if there was some inside job to take out these individuals, not only just JFK and RFK Sr. and Martin Luther King, but others, just how what kind of insidious operations were being done to in turn create an environment of fear and oppression and censorship and nightmares that the American people have been going through. And justice must be answered. I mean, all lies must be exposed, to quote the great Cat Williams. Okay, all lies have to be exposed, because we know damn well that the CIA did play a role in the distribution of the booger sugar. Okay, and I don't think we need to go any. That's as I think polite as I could say it, because you're also on YouTube, and I want to make sure that that's all good. But I also want to point out that, hey, what about all the coups and all of the regime change wars that happened? I mean, I have to look at the CIA with a raised eyebrow, the FBI with raised eyebrows, because we know they're also listening in to us. Hey, Philip. Hey, Bob. Those are my CIA handlers. What are the names of your CIA handlers, Matt? Same thing for the NSA, too. Like, they're listening in on us. So, I mean, it has to be revealed, and stop hiding. Like, people are tired of the BS. How many times have our government and our media lied to us? How many times have we been pushed aside and told that we don't have the right to know? Well, since our tax-paying money is going into frivolous projects, since our tax-paying money, our hard-earned cash, is going into media outlets like Reuters or Politico or anything else, then yeah, I think we do have a right to know what happened to JFK. Are potential presidents being shown the picture of what happens to JFK? Was there a second shooter? Did something go down? Because if so, the public that has been lied to for decades is entitled, deserves, and has the right to know what's happening. And if it was done by our own institutions, then everything must be torn apart from the top all the way down to the bottom, and everyone that was involved must be held accountable. Now, whether or not they'll face the full extent of the law is another thing altogether, because Lady Justice is blind.
Kid, I was just watching that clip, and thanks for finding that in Case Study QB for sure. Like, but the fact that CNN, they're laughing about this, they're still trying to find an angle here where they call
can't.
people. It's funny because the CIA is saying there's a second gunman. They're saying it, and so the spin is they're still laughing at the conspiracy theorists. You know what the irony is? And then when we trace back the term conspiracy theorist, which you guys just heard CNN say that as they're telling us this information, they're still mocking people with that name call. It's a name call that the CIA really championed right after JFK was killed. They saw people spreading. They didn't have the internet then, but you had people sharing their stories of, I saw a second gunman. So it was, isn't it irony, Kit, that the second gunman that people were talking about in 1963, the CIA pushed back at that by getting the term conspiracy theorist in the lexicon of the public, vocabulary as a way to deter people from asking questions. And you fast forward to 2025, and now you're still using that term as you're laughing at people, calling them the same name from 1963, as you're admitting on record that there is a second gunman from the grassy, wherever the hell they're going to say it from.
Well,
isn't that interesting irony, twisted irony there?
Well, even the alleged shooter said it wasn't me. The alleged shooter, before he automatically somehow, oh no, he was shot. Why? How convenient. Well, we never heard his full story, because I think people wanted to know, well, wait, hold on. He said it wasn't him, that he was being set up. Okay. And an inquiring mind wants to know. But you see, the thing is, I call this a blurring effect. This is the problem with the internet and social media. Matt, wasn't it not too long ago, like last year, where people were talking about extraterrestrials and UFOs being a threat? They held a whole congressional. Before, that would never have happened. And if that was done in the 90s, before the internet really got its power, if that was done in the 90s, people would be panicking or ears of that, talking about like, whoa, we're not alone in the universe. Whoa, did you notice? Did you know? People would be speaking. Now it's like, yeah, like people not like, yeah, whatever. Aliens were like, yeah, of course, probably. Yeah, maybe they're hostile. Maybe they're real. I mean, Area 51, you have that area locked down. Like, okay, obviously there's top secret locations. I get it, but come on. If they're real, just let us know. And you want what's going to happen? Yes, there might be some people who'll be panicked. Guess what? They're morons. The rest of the world, oh, I got to pay off this credit card debt or I'm not going to be able to eat, because people are going to move on. Like, okay, great. Like all that billions of dollars, like there's these clandestine organizations. If we tell the American people the truth, they'll panic now. It's like, yeah, it's aliens are real. All right. F off. It's like, because then they have to defend their outrageous budget. Like, but we have other secrets too. We got other secrets too. Maybe you want to know, like, no. Yeah, you guys are probably lying to us. And anyways, that my failed attempt at humor.
No, it's funny. The idea that's an old idea now. I don't think it stands up to today. This idea that people are going to go into convulsion shock when they see something for their own eyes. I think that because of the internet changed that. When you go back to you mentioned the alien thing. When you go back to like Independence Day, there's this funny moment where Will Smith comes outside and looks up and sees the alien.
Yeah. The big ship, and everyone's kind of like, "Come on, we gotta go!" And he's like, "Whoa!" Because before his little kid is like, "I'm shooting at the aliens." Like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Like, and then he sees it, and then boom, skyline starship right above. That happened in the 90s. Oh,
I think times have changed. I think that if we walk outside and saw the ship out front, it would not be people packing their bags. They'd be like, "Ah, shit, they did it, huh?"
No. It's not only, oh shit. They'd be like, "Hey y'all, selfie, aliens."
Yeah, the
Chicago.
Selfie. Get the lips.
Or either that, man. Yeah. People be like, "Man, if I gotta pay my taxes for these people coming in here taking human jobs,
keep taking our jobs. The aliens are taking our jobs."
Listen. The Martians, they're good people, but sometimes they're not bringing their best or brightest. And we got to build a space wall around Earth.
Yeah.
And the Martians got to pay for it. Okay. That's the thing. They got to pay for it. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a whole mixed reaction. Otherwise, you know what else is going to happen? Watch, like a week later, like, oh, yeah, that's right. Didn't our planet get visited by aliens? Because that'll happen too. People are like, oh, yeah, what? Or is that a trivia question? Like, what year and day did the aliens finally come to planet Earth? And be like, 1996, and it's 2030 right now. Like, come on, get out of here. People will be that foolish. And that's the thing. Like, all right, you put all these secrets, you do all these lies, you only can have control for so long. Like the institutions, take, for example, getting serious here for Chicago, right? You have the Democrat machine. After the November 5th election, there's like maybe one or two districts here in Chicago that turned red. And it was a high voter turnout, not the highest ever, but in regards for a presidential election in this city, the highest ever. And it was the most also for some people voting not Democrat. This city's always been solid blue. A good portion, I believe 20% of the city's population, of the voting population, again, not high numbers, voted for Donald Trump, like 20%. That is unheard of. And now there are people recalling Mayor Brandon Johnson. The Chicago Democrat machine is falling apart. And very similar to Congress, we got a lot of old aldermen. We got a lot of old Chicago bosses and Chicago people that don't have the base that they once had. You have an unengaged voter populace. You also have an enraged voter populace. And unfortunately, you do have the migrant crisis here as well. You have an economy that's in shambles here, and you have a mayor that has earned the hatred of everyone in this city. And when you're hated more than Lightfoot, you are an all-star performer that is destined not to win a second term. And if that's the case, 2027 is going to be a referendum on the Democrat machine that was started by Old Man Daley decades before even yours truly was born. So, we are witnessing a great upheaval in Chicago. We are witnessing it not only here in the city, but nationwide, in which people are challenging the institutions. And to be clear here, what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing, yes, they're looking at USAID, but there's also other things that they're going after. They're distracting. You're doing so much and distracting you at the same time. It's still control, but it's also leading to confirmation of, oh yeah, the system is corrupt. And let's say Kamala did win. There would still be billionaires doing what Elon is doing, not to the extent or publicly seen, but no, it'd still be the same. There would be some differences, and which is why, I really like that Super Bowl, because I do want to bring that up, because you guys were talking about Drake, and I'm like, oh, if we're stepping on Drake, we got to talk about the people that Drake surrounded himself, including his daddy, because do you know about that?
Okay, all right. Let's go back to Super Bowl. I want to hear your thoughts. You were hearing us talk with Jay, and we broke down some of the stuff there. But yeah, if you have a little more on Drake, I'd love to hear it. Let's go.
Well, okay. So again, I like to follow a lot of the gossip channels and a few other these channels that focus on the great beef between Kendrick and Drake. And the thing is, what a lot of people tend to forget is that Drake was given the green light by a lot of these studio execs to go after and destroy people's careers through his lyrics and rhymes. And when it happened to him, this was the most devastating thing ever to hit him, because this really destroyed the mythos of how invincible Drake is. He hasn't been able to hit back at Kendrick, and in turn, everything that he has done throughout the decades of being a music giant, it is a gut check. And the thing is, he had people like his own daddy, to help him out, to give him a pass, to continue to grow, to continue to have influence. And as soon as that gravy train ended, I mean, what does he do? He chooses the punk option of filing a lawsuit against the hand that feeds him, not against Kendrick. But I mean, even then, if you really want to prove how strong you are, don't be the punk and go down to lawfare. No. Get to the studio, hit the laboratory, work on the rhythm and rhyme, and shut up about it. Just do your job. I mean, you should love this. This is a fight, right? Left hook, right hook, unless truly the crown has been taken from Drake. And the thing is, yes, it is, because look at the people that Drake surrounded himself to. When you got DJ Academics, have you heard of all what that guy did to his own career?
No, what did he do?
Oh, you're not familiar with DJ Academics?
No.
What happened to him? Are you serious?
Yeah, I missed that one.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
give it to us. Give it to us.
This is a guppy in many ways. Yes, he's got did have millions of followers, but I'm going to be very careful how I word this out here. He is one of the biggest glazers to Drake. Okay, this is a guy who just worships the throne of Drake. But in a Twitch live stream, there was a person not of age. There we go. In it, and in turn, he was making very inappropriate conversation with said kid. Okay, and that's as far as I think we should go with that. But yeah, and in turn, because DJ Academics, by proxy, very close relationship with Drake, constantly promoting him 24/7. It calls into question everything that Kendrick Lamar was saying in his lyrics and rhymes, because you got all these people and again, why would you make you're a grown ass adult and you're making these inappropriate comments, you're saying all this stuff, and then in turn, he loses DJ Academic loses a lot of his contacts and connections too. Like, Twitch banned him. He also lost a lot of promoters and everything else. Like, there's no way he'll ever be able to recover. And the internet is immortal. And you can look it up yourself on YouTube. If you look up DJ Academics, inappropriate comments, like when you see it, you want to punch a screen, be like, why would you even do this? Why would you? And I feel sorry for the kid, but in the kid's defense, this kid was like saying, like, hey, what's wrong with you? You're like, I'm not going to talk to you like this. It's like, it was a very, once you see the bigger story, it's like, my God. And this is somebody that was Drake's diehard fan, like a heavyweight fan. Like, come on. But when the Super Bowl halftime was going on, I could hear in the background Drake crying. And it was great. Like, I don't get why, because here's the thing. I saw some conservatives and people in MAGA that liked the halftime show. I know there were some people that didn't like it, but I liked it. I thought it was great. Like, some of these people that are hating it's just like, did you not pay attention to the lyrics? Like,
it went over their head, Kit.
It did.
Didn't like it went over their head. And my brother's a professional musician, and he vouched for the fact that, look, sometimes musically speaking, you can have some of these songs are they're kind of dull musically. So you can give people a little free pass if they weren't like bobbing their head to the musically, but if they weren't paying attention to the lyrics, if they weren't looking with their own eyes of what was happening on that field, if they weren't kind of processing it the next day and kind of thinking about it, they might have missed a lot of it. So, but a lot of people blasted that out. They go, "This thing was dull. It was boring. I fell asleep." You might want to think about.
I love that halftime show. And I even thought was the young man, the individual was the Palestinian flag. Like I was like, oh, that happened. Oh, that wasn't on my bingo card. Like everything was very apropos, and I like the whole. God, the memes are so beautiful. Even Taylor Swift was supposed to be proposed to on that day, and the gods said no. They said no, and we dodged an end of the world type scenario. Do you have any idea how big her ego would have gotten if the Chiefs had won, and then the guy, like her guy, just proposed to her like right there in the field? Like the whole world would be consumed by Tay fans.
She might have been talked to before the game because she looked pretty sad the first shot I saw. That's interesting how sad she looks right away. She might have had a talking to them. I said, "Hey, listen, Taylor, we've been running the numbers. We're getting a lot of pushback for all the rigged games. We've been rigging a lot of the Chief games, and I think we need to back off on this one. Just let them play." And she was like, "No, don't let them play. They're gonna get their ass kicked." We just gotta let them play this time. It's the best move. Everybody's onto us. They saw that, they saw that conference finals against the Bills. They're onto us. We need to back off. Just let your boyfriend play. So, what if they lose?
He can't play at all.
Yeah, then that's the chance we're gonna have to take, Taylor. And that's where she was like, "Oh no, it's over. It's over." But I've listened to everything you've told me to do the whole time. I tweet out exactly when you tell me to. I vote when I tell. I do the whole thing. I do everything you tell me. And now you're telling me to sit here and just let the game unfold itself. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Let the dice roll where they need to roll, and then of course you have Kendrick Lamar's song. You have Drake crying in the ether, in the nether space of the world. You have Donald Trump, the first president to ever attend a Super Bowl. You have Taylor Swift, and the whole perfect proposal ended. You have the Chiefs losing. You have the Eagles winning. Shout out to my people in Philly. But God damn it, did you have to riot so bad? You have to cause all those problems. Come on, Philly. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I love you, Philly. I love you, Philadelphia. Hey, at least they have a team that cares, not like the Bears.
That's true.
All right. The less said about the Chicago Bears, that I got nothing nice to say about them. They broke my heart in 2006. So they could go F right off. But no, that was one hell. I think people don't realize that was probably that was a good Super Bowl. It wasn't dull. I find the commercials were mediocre. What'd you think of them?
The commercials were mediocre. I'm happy that there weren't an excessive amount of Pfizer and Moderna commercials, and there wasn't like the year before. There seemed to be an excessive amount of those. So I appreciate they backed up, but there was that one. I hate when a product is so bad, but the commercial is so good. Oh, I hate it. So I think one of the best commercials was that cancer one with the little kid, the Pfizer one.
But Pfizer's never cured cancer. You've been around for 100 years.
I was like, why does this have to be so good? It's so bad what they're doing. They're trying to pretend that you take their product, it's gonna help. No, their product's
lie.
Oh.
They haven't cured cancer. They haven't done it, Pfizer.
Yeah.
That's like saying, "Oh yeah, trust Pfizer. We peak." No, you didn't. You haven't done it in the real world. See, my favorite Super Bowl commercial is actually from 2011, the Maserati commercial. You know what? After this, when you're done, make yourself a nice meal and type in 2011 Maserati Super Bowl commercial. And
I'll do that.
Dude, it's a car commercial, but man, there's like the way that was messaged out. It's like, God damn, I'm ready for a fight. And that's if you don't remember it, I'm expecting a text message from you like, dude.
Okay.
The message behind that is pretty good because it could be interpreted. It's of course they're selling a car, but just the way it's being narrated and the way it's directed, it's like, okay. I see who made this commercial. Okay,
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I'll-
2011. I'll send it to you via private
Send it to
message.
me.
Actually, that's
Send it to
what I'll
me.
do.
Send it to me, Kit. And I'll
Okay.
say on the record, my favorite commercial, Super Bowl commercial, is from 20 years ago, 2005, because I was actually featured in it. I did a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh,
yeah, 2005.
really?
I'm in it for approximately 1 second, but here's the catch. They had to, because through SAG, what they were trying to do was we shot it in LA. It's supposed to
Okay.
take place in Miami, and I'm playing a Miami Heat player who I happen to fit the stats at. It was the same year that Shaq got traded to Miami, and so Verizon was doing this stunt back then. This was you guys don't know if you're not 20 years ago. If you're watching the Super Bowl, they had this stunt. At
Send
Super
this
Bowl.
to me now.
The little Shaq. He started big, and then he goes down. He's slapping five with his new teammates at the Miami Heat, and as he gets shorter and shorter, and by the time he gets to the end, he's this small. And that's the Verizon thing, was that you end up in the cell phone. It was like their big promotion that you can watch your favorite person on a cell phone, and that's why Shaq got so small. So all the teammates are like, where the hell did he go? And so I was playing one of the guys on his team. One of the white guys was exactly I forgot the guy's name, but they needed a master shot of everybody in the gym. So they made the LA Staples Center look like the Miami Heat Center, and they did a wide shot of everyone.
Are you kidding?
And they come in, and then I'm doing the lines for the basketball player. And they're like miking me up, lighting me. And I'm like, am I going to be in this thing? They're like, no, we're just using your likeness. So I'm like, but I'm going to get paid residuals, right? Because because the rules are, and I had to call SAG. I go, dude, SAG, they're lighting me. They're giving me direction. Like, then you're getting paid for the full commercial for having lines on set and being directed. Well, obviously in the final thing, when they do the close up, it's not me. It's the actual guy doing the line. But I did the original line, and they sent it to him, and he's in a green screen in Miami, and he did the take off of me, and he basically copied my performance, and that's what you see in the commercial. But people blew my phone up because they recognized me in the long shot before it went in. They go, dude, you made it in the damn thing. I go, where's my residual check, SAG? And I never got the residual, but I got paid for, but yeah.
Damn it. God. Okay. Hey, man.
I will send it to you.
That's okay. Send it to, I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you that. Dude, I promise you. I'm going to send you that Maserati 2011. Yeah. Like, that's my favorite commercial. Like, sometimes I'll listen to it. It's like, yeah, I'm ready for this fight. Like, even though it's for a Maserati car that I'll never afford. I like the message in it because there's a big message behind there. But yeah.
We'll check it out. Do I have a few more minutes with you, Kit, to do just one thing on Trump, or do you have to
sure thing. You got like a couple more minutes, and then I have to head to Fury Road because there's a big old snowstorm coming from Chicago, so I gotta drive and get some. Okay. Yeah, I know, it's fine, perfectly fine. Don't worry, man. Let's do this. Come on.
We're gonna cover this quick, and I appreciate about Hard Lens Media. I know you are on every morning. You are on the day's story, the morning story. You're ready to commentate on it and give people.
Dude, I got a show for tomorrow that people are going to want to punch their screens out, and I hope nobody breaks their phones. So there we go. But anyways.
No, I know that's what your audience appreciates that about you. You're right on point every day, every morning, ready to go. But this start. So I'm assuming you probably already kind of did this probably today earlier. But this is Trump's Gaza situation. So he's calling a countdown to when he's saying all hell will break loose. And if you guys want to hear it from the horse's mouth, and then we'll break this down, because he's been saying a lot of garbage over these last week when Netanyahu came in, standing up there talking about that we're going to take Gaza and all this stuff, and it's getting everybody upset. All of a sudden, the Democrats are upset. All of a sudden, people are like, whoa, what's he talking about? So the thing that Biden funded, he's talking about taking it over. But this one came up to me, and I couldn't believe he's talking about a countdown to when they have, I guess, Gaza or Hamas has to release the hostages by what he says Saturday at 12. He literally says Saturday at 12. Watch this clip, and I want your take on this actually happening. And I think he's talking about this Saturday at 12 o'clock. All hell will break loose. Hear it right from the horse's mouth. Here he is.
Should the ceasefire then be off?
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
Okay.
Wow.
I have a couple of things in which I want to address in regards to what Trump is doing. Now, first of all, this whole idea of the United States running and operating Gaza. Look, he would not be able to do this were not for the willful ignorance and purpose of the Biden-Harris administration. Okay, they could have stopped this months ago. They could have if they wanted to. I look at this entire situation. Donald Trump is somebody, obviously, look, he's got associations with AIPAC. Everybody in Congress, Thomas Massey is absolutely correct that there are people, a majority of Congress has an AIPAC babysitter. It's that simple. But the thing is, it's clear that he wants the war to end. It's not going to benefit anyone from Palestine and Gaza or in the West Bank. But if there is this countdown, it's a countdown of whether or not Israel can also follow through on an end for a ceasefire. And right now, Hamas and Israel are both accusing each other of not following through a ceasefire. Yeah. If it is to happen, if there is to be the full continuing exchange of hostages, this is still a crisis for Netanyahu, because what people have forgotten is that before the war started, Netanyahu had a lot of legal troubles with his government administration, that he was facing the potential of being sacked, being removed from office. And it's still, once this war ends, he loses his wag the dog moment. Like, it is in his benefit that this war continues to be the great wag the dog moment distraction for him. So no matter how this plays out, and there is that question of, well, what else can Netanyahu? I mean, again, even though they're saying that there's no foreign aid going to any countries, Israel still getting its billion-dollar check. But how long will this continue to go on for? Because even then, you have people wondering how long this war will last, how long, because everything does end. And yes, this war will lead to the next war further on down the road. As soon as the ceasefire happens, it's only laying down the foundations for the next one. And the people of Gaza being displaced or being put into Jordan or Egypt, it's just going to cause more continuous pain and suffering. And I would say that this ultimatum, there is a chance that it will happen and all hell will break loose. And then we see a humanitarian crisis that, once again, a Republican president, be it Democrat or Republican, they'll inherit, and more people will suffer and die. And I would ask and urge for anyone in position of power to call for an emergency diplomatic sit down. But I don't think we're going to get this from this administration. And Trump has made it abundantly clear, even from the King of Jordan, which he recently did have a press conference meeting. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, that came up as well.
That came up, and Trump, right in front of him, was the King of Jordan there. Like, yeah, this place, remove. But the people have got, there was talk about 12,000 children going into Jordan for the hospital care, which, look, I mean, I don't want anyone to suffer, but there was an interview that Bassem Youssef did, the comedian, who, not once, but twice, actually 3 times, had an interview with Piers Morgan. I think both his interviews really shook Piers Morgan to the core, because Piers Morgan's had since then been trying to replicate that video. I want to share something with you real quick.
Go for it.
Because while we're talking, while we are talking, we see, and this is what Bassem Youssef says, like, Israel's going to get away with this. And what it means, like, that's not a promotion or like a salute to what they're doing. It's more of like, this crisis is going to be so devastating bad because Israel's influence in Washington, D.C., they are going to get away with this. So I just want to pull up something, though, because, when you look at that Piers Morgan interview, and I think we got it right here, Piers Morgan Uncensored. We go to videos. And if you click on the most popular, 23 million views for his first interview with Bassem Youssef. He has since then been trying to replicate that. I mean, those are earth-shattering numbers for a video that's a year old. 23 million. Did you know that?
He's trying to replicate the numbers, not trying to actually get to the heart of what's going on.
Why do you think? Why do you think all of last year, he kept on having all this conversation? Do you bloody well condemn Hamas? Do you bloody well condemn hummus? Yeah, I'll send you the link right now.
Okay.
I think this will be it. So all you have to do is click on the popular, and you'll see that the Bassem Youssef interview is number 1. Then comes I don't know what interview this is. Then he has 2 interviews with Andrew Tate, and then the 5th interview is his second interview with Piers Morgan. So there you go.
I'm seeing the 23 million.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the one instance that he's been trying to replicate.
Yeah. Insane. That's insane numbers. Maybe I could do a shared on this one so people can see this number. Yeah, let me do that real quick. This is a great, and when you click on it, as you guys know on YouTube, you can click on it and get the exact number. It's looking like 23,052,636.
Oh, I didn't know the odd numbers behind it. Hold on, let me go see this.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up.
Hold on, let me go see. So, 23,052,636 views, October 17th, 2023. There you go.
I'm gonna put it up here. Here we go. So yeah, we'll take that off. I don't know if we can get closer. You guys can look. Yeah, look close at your screen there. You can see the 23 million. Yeah, 23 million. So he's trying to replicate that. Yeah, great, fine. But like, look, and we know Pierce is a stooge for this stuff. I mean, he'd like, do you condemn him, Moss? Do you condemn him, Moss? And how many times does he have to be? How many times does he have to be like taught a lesson about this? How many times is like, in Tucker most recently said, you don't target women and children. And he's like, well, if it's a war, you do. And you're just like, dude, you don't do that. And that's what we're supposed to be stopping. He's like, well, if it's a war, come on now. Maybe you don't celebrate it, but you still do it. No, Pierce, you don't do it or celebrate it. You don't do any of the sort. Period.
You don't do any of it, and it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna point out about this statement Trump made, because we're gonna see for ourselves what happens on Saturday. This is coming up. We're gonna see.
I'm preparing myself for the worst, but again, this is Donald. Here's the thing. It's easy to vilify him, but I'm trying to trying to get in the mindset who Trump is. He's somebody who wants things that are going to annoy him out of his way. And I think this war is like a big headache that he's inherited from Biden and Kamala. And were their big, beautiful missiles launched under Trump's administration? Absolutely. Did he cause some crap with Iran before in 2020? Oh, God, yes, he did. But this is a guy who doesn't care how no matter how it ends, he wants it out of his itinerary. And that means that Netanyahu's kind of lost his wag the dog moment. And it's in Netanyahu looking at him like this whole 15 months. Because of the Democrats, he was able to still maintain his power.
Yeah. When I see the all hell will break out or break loose, I think about the last thing he said about how we're going to rebuild and the Palestine. If you guys have missed this one, I'm just going to play this one real quick. This is the no right to return. He said this just before the all hell will break out comment. So let's put these together and let's try and connect the dots on both of these statements, kid. He said this right before, I think either the day or 2 days before, he said this about no right to return.
Build beautiful communities for the 1.9 million people. We'll build beautiful communities, safe communities. Could be 5, 6, could be 2, but we'll build safe communities a little bit away from where they are, where all of this danger is. In the meantime, I would own this. Think of it as a real estate development for the future. It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians have the right to return?
Spent. No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better. In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them. Because if they have to return now, it'll be years before you could have it's not habitable. It will be years before it could happen. I'm talking about starting to build, and I think I could make a deal with Jordan. I think I could make a deal with Egypt. We give them billions and billions of dollars a year.
So this is my take on this, kid, and I want to see what your thoughts are. So when you stack those together, in this clip, he's saying the quiet part out loud. He's saying it's always been a land grab. It's always been about stealing the resources, the oil, all this stuff, Trump Tower, whatever, you name it. It was always that. But follow that up with, you have until Saturday to give us all of the hostages or all hell is going to break loose. I'm thinking that the all hell is a reference to the thing that you're going to do anyway. So you're going to do the thing no matter what. You're just trying to call it two things at once. And I think that's the giveaway. And if people look at these clips back to back, they'll understand that the hostage, we know, you and I know, and our audiences know that the hostage thing was bullshit from the beginning. We have to get Hamas and we have to blow up all these schools and hospitals and refugee camps because of Hamas. We knew that was bullshit the whole time. They have our hostages. They have our hostages. We knew Netanyahu didn't want them back anyways. So when I see him say this so shortly after saying they don't have a right to return and we're going to build up all these properties in BlackRock, blah, 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 I'm thinking this is the moment where we understand that you're going through a charade about this countdown, and that of course the all hell is going to happen. The all hell is the final step of the genocide. And if you happen to be lucky enough to survive it, we're going to get you out of there and throw you somewhere else, and you have no right to come back. And so that's the full picture, man. That's the full thing. So the hostage thing is BS. We know that. And he's just coming up with an actual countdown where he can say, this is the moment we go to the next stage and the next. So that's what, for me, that's what I think is coming this weekend, is time for the next stage of what we always knew was an ethnic cleansing and a land grab.
And I also want to point out here too, Bassem Youssef even brought this up in his second interview with Piers Morgan. The whole idea of why doesn't Egypt or Jordan take them in? It's because the people of Gaza and the West Bank, the Palestinians, their culture, music, language is different and history is different than the people of Jordan and Egypt. Just like with the people of Egypt and Jordan, they have different cultures. And yes, it's easy for anyone to say, well, they're all part of the Middle East, they're all Arab or Muslim. Well, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that. You're using a big brush when in fact there's a lot of division. There's a lot of differences between all these various groups and tribes. And all it's going to do is cause more trouble. And especially with such a fast pace, it is abundantly clear that what happened to Gaza, we may never know the true death toll, but it's far higher than 47,000. All of Gaza was turned into a moonscape. I mean, are we ever, what was the name of the guy who ran the Central Kitchen aid workers? The guy who got the Presidential Medal of Freedom or something. He was one of those people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Hold on. Let's actually pull up his name. Hold on. I want to get his name right. World Central Kitchen Aid founder. Hang on. Oh yeah, Jose Andres. Yeah, he was given that Presidential Medal of Freedom. Are we ever going to acknowledge the fact that his people, who had 3 marked cars, who got the approved the route to deliver food and then go from point A to point B and all the way from point B all the way to point A again, they were hit by the IDF. Are we going to talk about the journalists that died, all the first responders and doctors and first aid relief workers who also died there? I mean, there's a lot of blood in that land. And, I don't know how accountability works for the universe, whether karma is a real thing or not, or whether or not this is a game played by the gods. But, with all the amount of bloodshed and pain in Gaza, whatever you build there will never stand because of the amount of lives lost, culture lost, removed, never to return again. And when you clear out the rubble, we're going to see the dead bodies. Is there ever going to be accountability for them? Will they ever get the peace? Will their family members who survived this horrific 16 months now of horror, will they ever be able to get their family's remains again? What's going to happen to those bodies? What's going to happen to the remnants of the people that were blown up and torn apart? How is it that you're going to look at maybe a father and mother who lost their sons, or either that, no matter what, people who lost loved ones? How are you going to look them in the eye and tell them, all right, this might have been your home, this might have been where your family died or lived, but you got to leave here and never come back again? Like, no amount of persuasion will convince the survivors to do that. And will there be some that will comply? I could see it happening here and there, but we are going to witness the continuation of man's inhumanity to man. And no matter who sat on the throne, no matter if it was Kamala or Trump, Israel's going to win.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The United States of effing Israel is where we unfortunately resign right here. Yes. And it doesn't matter who's in power. at the time. It's the same thing. We're just shifting scenery, changing up the background, changing up the backdrop. We went from a blue backdrop to a red backdrop, but there's always Israel.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
Red backdrop.
Red backdrop. Yay! It's still Israel, on the ceiling. Everywhere else you look, there's an Israel flag, so it doesn't really matter the backdrop of the performance that we're in. And it was, I was on with Garland Nixon earlier today, Kit, and he made a great analogy I've never heard before, and I loved it because of the entertainment element of it. And we talk about a theater, and you talk about the end of a show where the cast comes out, and he said this. So I love this analogy. The cast always comes out at the end of a show holding hands as the audience stands up and gives a standing ovation. Always notice that the good guy that you cheered for and the bad guy you rooted against in the play, they're always holding hands at the end because they were always on the same side to give you a good show. And they're holding hands, and we celebrate that. We go, oh, look, the guy who played the bad guy. Oh, he was brilliant. Oh, and the hero. Oh, and you give him the flowers, and everyone stands up and cheers. That's what we live in. Is that we just don't get the ovation and the flowers, but we have little reveals. We have little moments like Obama and Trump hanging out at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Oh yeah, they're laughing it up. They're laughing. George Carlin was right. It is one big club, and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Simple as
All
that,
right, my friend.
Well, what we can do is keep doing what we're doing. You keep doing what you're doing, Kit. Going into year 9. Congratulations.
Well, this is our 8th year for our YouTube channel. So our channel's now 8. So there you go.
Okay.
8.
Channel is 8 years old, but you're going into the next phase, the next year. You're going to be at 10 soon. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a big one.
Oh man, I'm going to be hyping it up. There's going to be all sorts of partying going on.
I love it. I want to come back out to Chicago, hang with you guys again. You were so great with us last time. And of course, if you come to LA, we can totally host you, me and Leslie. No problem. We'll make sure you get the best of LA. It's hard. It's a few and far between. We can find something good to do in LA because the town is still barely standing with all the fires and all the Trump derangement and COVIDians. But hey, we're still here. So we can host you too. But thank you, Kit, for all the work you do and setting such a high bar for the rest of us, to carry the torch. And I don't even want to say carry the torch because you're still going. We're all going. We're just we're adding to the mix, and there's power in numbers, and we're doing it all. You're doing it in Chicago. We're doing it in LA, and we just want more. We want more to pop up too. So we definitely like that adage that you have about inspiring others. So thanks for everything you're doing. Anything else you want to leave us with before you head out?
We got a updated story. What's happening with United Healthcare? We're going to be talking about that tomorrow because apparently they're a little perturbed at a lot of us and people criticizing them on social media. Obviously, there's a fallout of this recent development with the JFK announcement, and we got a couple more stories to talk about as well. But we're live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central. YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, Rockfin. Kick and X, and we just got past 200 followers on Kick, and I'm ever hopeful for the day we get to 1 million followers and we take over this joint. That's what I'm looking forward to. We're gonna take over Kick, and I'm inviting all my fantastic friends with me. Matt, you're coming along with us too.
Hell yeah, I love it. Thanks, Kit. Thanks for everything. Peace out. We'll catch you next time. Okay,
I'll head on out. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. KIT CABELLO, Hard Lens Media, everyone. Great show. Thank you guys all. You know what? I'm going to read some of your comments, guys, because we missed some of them along the way. We didn't have Leslie with us here today. We really miss Leslie. We miss you so much when you're not here because you know how to hold it down with our viewers and keep it going. Keep it going. Should I do the intro? The talking back? Nah, I'm not going to do that's Leslie's. I'm going to save it for her. I'm not going to do the talking back intro. But yeah, let's give you guys a couple of these before we head out of here. Oh yeah, one time for the one time. This is a great point. I love that you pointed this out earlier. One time for the time. Look at North Carolina right now after the hurricane. It was 4 months, 5 months. FEMA didn't do anything. And right now, Trump is taking care of them. That is happening. We weren't able to cover that today. So I'm glad you brought this up. The mainstream media is not covering it. And that's part of the propaganda machine. It's part of the misinformation. Misinformation isn't just when they tell you lies. It's the things they omit. For example, telling us that Trump is taking care of the people in North Carolina is going to go against their narrative, so they'd rather omit it, which is another form of misinformation. So thanks for pointing that out. You guys can look that up. That's actually happening right now. Biden didn't do anything. FEMA didn't do anything, but Trump's actually helping them right now. We'll give him that one. Absolutely. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I see this on YouTube. Okay. I think this might be a pushback comment. Let's see. T says 244 million Americans were eligible to vote in 24. Only 77 million voted for an out on bail convicted felon, less than 32%. More than 68% of Americans have never voted for an out on bail felon. And we know how numbers work. Thank you for that, T. We know how numbers work. You can steer them and steer statistics. So I'm sure your statistics are accurate, but the way you get them accurate is it's pretty easy. You just incorporate the non-voter whenever it's convenient. So in this case, it's convenient to incorporate the non-voter when you're trying to make the point about 68% of Americans have never voted for, as you're calling him, an out on bail felon. I wonder, T, if you have any curiosity about how those court proceedings unfolded, what the felonies were actually for. Did you follow that? We certainly did, and we certainly felt the red flag was 100% apparent when you're taking a one misdemeanor, which was books being marked up wrong for a month, and timesing it by, I guess the number was 34, because they just did it by 34 because it was 34 months of the same mistake in the book, deliberate or not. It was a miscalculation in the book, which was a misdemeanor, and then they got a judge to up it to a felony, which you aren't allowed to do, but they did it anyway. They times it by 34, and hence you get your 34 felonies. I wonder, T, and I'm not defending Donald Trump. I'm saying that our system's broken, and I hope you're able to see that. And I hope you're also curious, T, and anyone else out there, if it's ever crossed your mind why any other president has never been put on trial for a felony. As we know, every president has committed felonies. Some in our lifetime are horrendous felonies. As we know, crimes against humanity. We know Dick Cheney and Bush committed crimes against humanity. I assume if you are, I don't want to assume you're a Democrat, but if you're against Trump, T, I'm sure you'd be skeptical on and critical on Bush and Cheney years as well. I don't know if you were alive then, or if you remember then, or if you were at voting age, but we were in the streets against Bush and Cheney and the war machine. And conveniently, the Democrats have forgotten about that, and they'd rather put Trump up for one misdemeanor turned into 34 felonies and think that that's justice, versus putting Dick Cheney and George Bush on trial and convicted for crimes against humanity with illegal wars, illegal occupation, murdering 1 million Iraqis for a war based on a lie. There was no weapons of mass destruction. On top of that, there was a creation of a torture program, which was also illegal, where we tortured the hell out of people, which is also against the Geneva Convention. So there's crime after crime after crime. If it never crossed your mind why they weren't put up for their crimes, then you should really look in the mirror and say, do you really think this is something to celebrate? And I go further and say, do you think that Americans, as you put it, that voted for Trump, do you think they were voting for him because he was a felon, or they didn't care that he was a felon? Or do you think that they were making a statement against the corrupt judicial system that I just explained to you? So if you're able to think about why would they do that to him, and then what reaction would people have when they see that he's being targeted, and none of the other presidents and their war crimes have gone punished? Maybe that's why so many voted. So rather than trying to steer numbers and pretend that more people didn't vote for him when we know the biggest voting bloc is non-voter, and we already know that. You don't have to mix those numbers together to make some weird point that not enough people voted for Trump, therefore he's not legitimate. I don't know what point you're making, but I wanted to give it some some time because I thought that was an interesting thing you did there. But I'm just asking you to ask yourself those questions if it ever occurred to you at all. Maybe it's the first time now. I hope it. If it is, I hope you take some time to consider those points I just gave to you. Okay. And this is us just trying to be thoughtful and critical and not representing a tribe or a clan. But you guys know that. You guys know we're not MAGAs. We can recognize corruption when we see it. And we get curious and we ask questions and we go, what the hell is actually going on here when they are convicting Trump of these so-called felonies? Okay, let's put a couple more up. Yes, one time for the one time people being detained or denied transplants because they aren't vaxxed. They're still doing that today. Well, it's not as bad now, but they're going to pretend they never did that. They're going to pretend they never did that. And there's people that have died, did not get treatment they were supposed to get. And so this Hippocratic oath went right out the window. So we have to keep reminding people this happened. I know people like to say we've moved on, COVID's over. No, it's not. We still need to talk about what they did to us so we're ready when they do it another time. And so people can wake up and be better prepared and be on the right side of history this time instead of the wrong side of history. If you happen to be on the wrong side, as long as you admit to it and you say, you know what, I effed up. We welcome you on our side. Next time they do this, be on the side of the people, be on the side of free speech, be on the side of science, which is actually debate. Science is rooted in debate. That's what science is. Science is not gospel. Science is not preaching church-like cult crap. That's not science. If you want preachy, culty sermon crap, go join a cult. Just do that. But if you want science, debate, 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 and do not censor. That's what it's about. And always follow the money. Follow the money. Follow the effing money, you guys. Come on. Come on, guys. And yes, I got to follow up. There's nothing wrong with admitting mistakes and course correcting. Thank you for that one time for the one time. We have some other people that tuned in. I can't get to everything. There's a lot. One time for the one time. Also put some stuff. I go back and read some of these comments, guys. You were talking about Samuel Jackson with both hands throwing up threes, triangle equals pyramid. Yeah, there's a lot. I love the symbolism. I want to go back and look at some of it even more. So never be too quick. Don't be too quick, guys, to write something off because you weren't bobbing your head to the song for whatever reason. Go back and take a second look. It's always worth taking a second look at some of this stuff. See if there's any symbolism you might have missed at the time. And then joke is for you. Speculates the deep state will back Drake and he will make a comeback. Unfortunately, never been a fan. Let's see. I hope you're wrong. But if they back him, then he gets protection, just like we see Jay-Z and Beyonce getting protection. Let's see what I'm curious. Let's see what they do to Drake. I hope they let him off on his own and he's got to get his own back. And if they do, if they release him and they say you're on your own, dude, there's no way he's going to make it through this. But we'll see. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, thank you over on YouTube, Wendy Carballo. Thank you. Japanese whiskey keeps kick going. Hell yeah, hell to the freaking yeah. Thanks for that support on YouTube. It's very cool. Dr. Nick Rivera came back on our new YouTube channel. Thank you, and you said hi to Wendy. Thank you, Dr. Nick Rivera. Thank you for finding us on the new YouTube because I knew you were big on our previous YouTube channel, The Homeless Left, which did get pulled. It didn't get punished. It didn't get demonetized. It didn't get shadow banned. It got terminated. That's what happened to our YouTube channel, The Homeless Left. Now you have to follow us on THL Presents. That's our burner channel. We're trying to fight them again. We're just doing it in a little more careful, sneaky way. But if you guys can follow our burner channel, THL Presents, much appreciated. We'll see how long we can go before they do it again to us. But if they do it again to us, as Michael Scott on The Office once said, I'll just start another company and I'll start another. And if that one fails, I'll just start another. You know why? Because I never run out of names. I got plenty of names. We'll just change the name. Love that. I don't know what episode that's from. If you guys are Office fans, that's Michael Scott saying, "You can't stop me. Even if you stop me, you can't stop me." I love that. Let's see. I think we got a couple more here. Oh, thank you, Bad Cookies. I'm here to harass Kit and ask that you hit the like button. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Hit that like button. Thank you. Thank you, Bad Cookies. And we love harassing Kit, too. We have a good time. He keeps things light and fun. And I like that because we're dealing with such hard stuff, such hard-hitting material day after day. He does this 5 days a week. We do it twice a week. Kit doing it 5 days. It's a lot. It's a lot. So we have to keep things light and have fun. And it's totally cool. So yeah, thanks you guys for all that. Yes, wish to go. Yes, thanks to Kit. Thank you, Kit, for sure. And I want to thank all of our guests and people that helped us out today. KIT CABELLO, Heartlands Media, Jay Scott. These guys, we love having conversations. We love when they come on our show. So thank you so much. Coming up on Thursday, we're gonna have Craig Pasta Jardula holding things down. I think he will be holding the show down. I might pop in for a little bit, but we got to see. We have some other stuff we're juggling, so that'll be this Thursday. So don't miss that on this Thursday. And I'll say one more thing. Yes, there's a couple stories we weren't able to get to. The Elon versus South Africa story. But fear not, my friends. If you want to see my take on Elon versus South Africa, go over to Garland Nixon. I just did an interview with him this morning. It's on his YouTube page. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about Elon in South Africa. We talk about we give a little LA fires update. We talk about a bunch of stuff. It was a really, as Garland told me, very therapeutic having these conversations. So I really appreciated that from Garland Nixon. That was earlier today. And yesterday, we broke the story with Fiorella Isabel on Truthwire. So we spoke about it there as well, among some other stuff I don't think we were able to get to. Some more of the JFK file stuff we were going to talk about. But we'll get to that in the future. We do have some great guests planned for future episodes. But like I said, this Thursday will be Craig Pasta holding things down for the homeless left. We appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you so much. We always like to leave you with a fun little outro. We do have a couple Palestinian activist podcasters on Piers Morgan with none other than Rabbi Shmuley sticking it to him. We love it when they stick it to Rabbi Shmuley, that completely worthless piece of crap Zionist. We love it when people call him out, especially in front of Piers Morgan. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We love you. Let's keep the movement going. The populist voice is alive and well. It's coming from the left, the right, everywhere, from the bottom up. That's the key. A real movement starts from the bottom and it goes up. It doesn't come from the top down. It's from the bottom up. That's what we're doing here on the homeless left. So it's power in numbers, power to the people. And the second that they realize that we figured it out, that we're all actually on the same side and we're all battling the very few elite at the top, as soon as they see that we figured that out, that's when they're going to get really afraid of us. So we hope that day comes soon. Thank you guys so much for being here with us on the Homeless Left, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to cue up the outro right now, and that'll be it. Power in numbers, power to the people, and when you guys hit the ground every day, get up out of bed and seize the carpe diem, as they say, seize the day. Remember, always go at it with courage, conviction, and principle. All very important qualities to have, and implement those all the time. Be consistent. Consistency is a good one too. Okay, that's it. Peace out. Homeless Left. We'll see you guys next time.
Sick of anti-Semitism. I'm sick of racism. There are white racists, nationalists who hate black people. Some of them are around President Trump, even though I think he's a great friend of the black community, but he has those voices. We have Tucker Carlson. Man. Tucker Carlson denies the Holocaust, and yet he's in the president's ear. He denies the Holocaust.
All right,
Please stop defending hatred.
Okay, I want to come to joke, no joke in a moment, but I think it's only fair and right that I go to both the people you've just spray gunned and get them to respond. So, Myron, your response to Rabbi Shmuley.
Yeah, again, I find it incredible that he's over here so critical of Kanye West, right? About, he beats his wife, whatever. Meanwhile, you're walking around with a war criminal that's killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people, bombed them indiscriminately, etc. I find it very interesting that you're so hardcore on Twitter about some tweets that may or may not have been a joke, more than likely a joke. Anyone that has common sense, sarcasm, dark humor, etc., versus you're running around with someone that's literally a war criminal wanted by the ICC that's killed tens of thousands of innocent children, right? And then you're over here calling for censorship. I'm tired of anti-Semitism. I'm tired of racism. People like you are the fucking problem, because here's the thing. Americans are tired of censorship. We're tired of being browbeat into being virtue signaling losers like you, who always sit there and try to rage people and say, you go ahead and you provoke problems with people. I've literally seen you do this. You go up to people, you provoke them, and they tell you fuck off, and then you get mad and you yell anti-Semitism. Quite literally, what I want to hear is this. Rabbi Shmuley, until you can actually call people liars for what they say, no one cares about anti-Semitism anymore. You guys run around, use it for everything. We're tired of it. Stop trying to browbeat us and virtue signal saying, that's anti-Semitic. How about this? When you can call someone a liar for what they're saying, then we'll start taking you more seriously. Other than that, you're fucking dildo rabbi.